What's up, San Diego?
This is San Diego sports. The wins, the losses, the moments that matter, and the opinions that come with them.
Padres have clinched the playoffs in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 05 and 06.
No hype, no filter. Just the truth about your teams, your city, and the people who care about it most.
The reality is the expectations are higher now for this club than they were in 2019 and 2020 when the Padres hadn't made the playoffs that many times.
He's been here. He knows this city. And now he's leading the conversation every single day. Live and local on 97.3 The Fan.
This is fun. We're doing this for fun. This is fun. Have fun. Enjoy the fun with us having fun.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And happy Wednesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I know there's a lot of disgruntled Padres fans out there after last night's loss. Find another way to lose to the Philadelphia Phillies. They dropped the game 3-2, and they have now lost, 7 of the last 8 games?
They're
close to that.
They're 3-7 in their last 10.
7 out of the last 10 for sure. I think it's 7 out of the last 8, if I remember correctly. But it's been tough sledding to watch this Padres team the last couple of weeks. It's been very tough sledding, and I think it starts with the fact that, again, yesterday, if you look at the box score and the overall stats, and I'm watching as the game goes on, the Padres get one guy out of their core 4 to perform, and the other guys don't. For the month of April, it was Xander Bogaerts and nobody else. For the month of May, well, I guess it was kind of Fernando at the end. I mean, that's kind of what it's been like in the last month or so. He's been the only Padre in the top 4 that's really been doing any damage. Manny Machado continues to look not great at the plate. I think I'm putting that as nicely as possible with how poor he has played at the plate for the San Diego Padres. I mean, just not great. Just not great baseball right now for San Diego. But I think the context still matters, and we'll talk about that in a second. Kevin Acee mentioned it in his daily newsletter about the Padres. But, overall last night, I mean, you had the Padres jump out to a 2-0 lead. Gavin Sheets with another home run, which is great to see. And then, unfortunately, for Randy Vásquez, he gave up a bad pitch to Bryce Harper, and he tied the ball game up. Randy Vásquez, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts, gave up the home run. I still think Randy Vásquez pitched pretty well in yesterday's game. Not his best outing, but also at the same time, not his worst. I thought that was a solid outing out of Randy Vásquez. I know a lot of people want to get on Jeremiah Estrada. Walks are going to kill you. I don't know how many times we have to say that walks kill you, but walks kill you. And they killed the Padres again last night because Jeremiah Estrada, with a leadoff walk, or at least, early in the inning, comes around to score. And that's all the Phillies needed. They just needed the 3 runs. Padres, again, continue to be awful with runners in scoring position, specifically against the Phillies. They were 0 for 7 yesterday with runners in scoring position. They're 0 for 27. 0 for 27 against the Phillies with runners in scoring position. Awful. Just beyond awful. It's almost, I'm going to be honest with you, it's almost mathematically impossible what the Padres have been doing with runners in scoring position. I mean, this is going on 3 years now where the majority of the season, they can't find ways to get hits with runners in scoring position. I mean, they have to be one of the worst teams in baseball on getting a hit with runners in scoring position. I don't have those numbers in front of me. I'll look them up during the break. But they have to be one of the worst teams at hitting with runners in scoring position in Major League Baseball. I mean, 0 for 27 against the Phillies. You kidding me? 0 for 7 again last night. And then you look at some of the other players in the lineup yesterday. I mean, Sungmoon Song, that guy needs reps. He doesn't need reps at the Major League level. He needs to get reps again back in AAA to get comfortable. He was 0 for 3 last night at 154 with a 42 OPS. Had an absolute terrible at-bat when they needed him late in the game. I see a lot of people going like, why didn't they pinch hit Nick Castellanos? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that could have been a good spot for Nick Castellanos to come out. But, I mean, your bottom of your order right now is just automatic out after automatic out Freddie Fermin, 0 for 2 again yesterday, 130 to 403 OPS. I like the idea to have Ty France pinch hit there. He comes up with 2 outs, though. Runners on the corners, unable to get the big knock. And then you go talk about Jase Bowen yesterday. I mean, I was right on the 1 for 4 and 3 strikeouts. I was not right on what the hit was. At least he got a good hit. At least he got his first major league hit. Congrats to Jase Bowen on that. But we could give him a pass for game 1 on a sense that maybe he was amped up. But I'm going to tell you right now, he looked so overmatched yesterday in every one of his at-bats. I mean, completely overmatched. That last at-bat, and I get it, it's his first day in the big leagues, and he's not coming up here to be the savior. And by the way, I want to make this clear. With nobody on base and 2 outs in the 9th inning, down 1 run, Jase Bowen coming to the plate, the game's not on him for not getting a hit. But I'll tell you right now, that was probably one of the worst at-bats I've ever seen in that situation. It was awful. I mean, he swung out of his shoes on 3 pitches that would have hit a left-hander on the back knee. I mean, it wasn't even close. But we knew that going in when he got pulled up. It's like, hey, he hits a lot of home runs, but also, well, he does strike out a ton. I mean, he led the Chihuahuas in strikeouts so far to start the year. I think you could give him a break with the sense of, 1, he's not supposed to be the savior of this team. And 2, it's his first game at the major league level. I get it. But, I mean, he wasn't even close on any of those. Fernando continues to swing a hot bat. He's 3 for 4 with the run scored. He's hitting 275 now with 677 OPS. Still not the greatest numbers when it comes to OPS, but he's starting to get results for a lot of his at-bats. I can't really explain his running error that he had, because when you go back to that, because that was another inning that the Padres had a little bit of life. Andujar was going to reach on a single. In fact, I think they give him a single. It's like a swinging bunt with 2 outs. And Fernando is thinking first to third. There's 2 outs. It's almost like he was just kind of getting around the bases like, oh, it's 2 outs, I'll throw it to first. He was caught so off guard that Alec Baum threw the ball back to second base at just running in outs. I mean, overall, this has been not only a tough schedule for the Padres, but it's been just tough baseball to watch. It was tough baseball to watch. It has been incredibly tough baseball to watch night in and night out. And it doesn't make the argument that Kevin Acee makes in the newsletter today, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. I mean, in terms of context, it doesn't make it sound a lot better to a lot of fans. I will say this, because this is the time of the year. For some reason, like the May to like early June part of the calendar for the Padres the last 3 years has been absolutely awful. And you're going to go through a lot of ups and downs. And yes, I know the season is long, but I think it's hard to convince fans to like be like, oh, they're going to work their way out of it when they have not played good baseball for the last 2 weeks. I mean, they really haven't. The last series win they had was against the A's. And in that series win, I mean, they still didn't play that great. They got to find a way to get something going here offensively. I honestly, the only thing that's looked pretty good has been the pitching staff. You know, the fielding has been solid for most of the time for the Padres this year. But these last couple of weeks, I mean, if they play like that the rest of the season, which I don't think they will, but if they do, it's going to be a long year. It's going to be a very long year. It's going to be a very disappointing year for a team that didn't have too much expectations, but still has expectations to make the postseason. And right now they're digging themselves into a hole. And this seems to happen every single year for the last handful of years. The thing that I can't wrap my head around is how poor this team has been with runners in scoring position for the last 3, 4, 5, however many years it's been. It's almost impossible. I mean, have the Padres just accumulated the worst hitters with runners in scoring position in baseball history? I don't think that's to be the case. It's almost such an anomaly, you kind of laugh to prevent yourself from crying about watching the Padres hit with runners in scoring position. They got a lot of problems right now. They got a lot of different things that are not working out for them. And there's not a lot to really write home about. I mean, as of right now, you write home about Gavin Sheets with 10 home runs, even though he's hitting 246 and 246 in the year. But I'll tell you what, for a guy like Gavin Sheets, you got off the scrap heap. I mean, it'll take that. Tatis 3 for 4. At least he's starting to hit the ball a little bit better. Miguel Andujar, he's doing his job. But I mean, Jackson Merrill, 205 average, another 0 for 4 night with 2 strikeouts. Not going to get it done. Xander Bogaerts coming back down to earth. A lot faster than you would expect. 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts yesterday. Did work a walk, but I mean, just not going to get the job done. Manny Machado. I mean, I didn't know where to begin with Manny Machado. He has been so bad at the plate. There's really not much you can say. And I will say this. I mean, we've covered Manny Machado now since 2019. This isn't high school baseball, folks. You can't just move him down the order or bench him and expect all of a sudden just magically I'm going to play a lot better. Are you kidding me? Unfortunately, you got to just kind of roll with what you got. But I look at the team. I still think they're talented. I think the context is key. I mean, I was having a conversation yesterday. Somebody was texting me. One of my friends was texting me. It was like, this team's going to be under 500 by the time the end of the month ends in June. And I go, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they go 500 in June. They'll be 6 over. And we'll be moving into July. And he was like, we're only 4 games above 500 or whatever it was yesterday after, And I was like, yeah, but in 2024, when you guys all thought the Padres are going to win the World Series, they were 2 games above 500 at this point in time. So I know it's frustrating. I get that. But there is reason for optimism. I know people don't want to hear that right now. They just want to sulk in their misery, which is fine. You can do that if you want. It's how the Padres just ruin your life with how bad they've played. But I will give you a reason for optimism when we come back. Kevin Acee laid it out in his newsletter, comparing the last handful of years. I'm telling you right now, as bad as it is right now, the sky isn't falling. And they've been playing very bad baseball. We'll talk about that. We'll get Frank's reactions to yesterday's game when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. All right. Well, the NFL was fun on a Monday here in the month of June. They got June started off properly with trades galore. Plus, got a quarterback that is leaving the NFL to join CBS. You got Illinois deciding when they're going to vote on a new Bears stadium in the fall, and lots going on in the National Football League. Even though it is June 1st, and we're getting ready for the beginning part of the season, or really the off season, with a lot of just different training camps. But 2 big trades that happened on Monday of this week. The first one was the Cleveland Browns traded Myles Garrett to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for Jared Verse and some draft picks. And I look at this initially as, obviously the big winner to me is the Los Angeles Rams in getting Myles Garrett. Jared Verse is one of the better players in the National Football League on his way up. So maybe they replace Myles Garrett with a younger, talented player in Jared Verse. They pick up some draft picks, the Browns do. But this is the Rams, and this is their MO. They trade for top talent around the NFL, and draft picks be damned.
Yeah, and this is so the official trade is Myles Garrett going to Los Angeles. Jared Verse is going back to Cleveland, along with a first-round draft pick in 27, a second rounder in 28, and a third rounder in 29. So that's the haul that's going back to Cleveland in this trade. But yeah, this is the Rams' MO: get and keep, or try your best to keep big time professional proven talent. And draft picks are just that. They're potential, they're draft picks, they're prospects, as we say in baseball.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of keeping draft picks, because that's where you improve your depth of your team. But the Rams have proven that they can do it. I mean, this is, like we said, this is the norm for them. They did this in 2021 during the offseason when they acquired Matt Stafford in the season in which the Super Bowl was being played in LA before going on to win the Super Bowl. So they mentioned it before. I mean, when they won the Super Bowl, F them picks. We'll try to repeat the history. But even then, I thought when they made that trade for Stafford, it's like, all right, well, they're going all in right now. It works out for them if they win the Super Bowl. Not only did they win the Super Bowl, you thought they were going to be bad for like the years after that, and they weren't. In fact, people were throwing out the rumor that Sean McVay was going to hang it up and go work for TV and just be, just like, all right, I don't know why we'd want to coach this team. They sold everything away, but yet they've still made the playoffs almost year in and year out in Los Angeles since winning the Super Bowl, trading the draft picks, and they just did it again. And just to go through history, since 2016, here are the first-round draft picks for the Los Angeles Rams. Jared Goff, who eventually was traded in the Matthew Stafford deal. 2017, zero number one draft picks. 2018, none. 2019, none. 2020, none. 2021, none. 2022, none. 2023, none. 2024, Jared Verse, who eventually gets traded in the Myles Garrett deal. 2025, none. 2026, Ty Simpson. I would assume that Ty Simpson might be getting traded in a couple of years, maybe for, I don't know, Joe Burrow, maybe some big-time player. I mean, this is very on par for the Rams. Not surprised by it. I think it could work out for both teams. I mean, I think the Browns' track record makes me a little skeptical about this move, but I love the deal for the Rams. And as for the Browns, I think it remains to be seen. But it's not like they're not getting a good player back in Jared Verse. He's one of the better players in the National Football League, and only been in the league for a couple of years. The other trade that happened. Now, we got wind of this over the weekend that it was only a matter of time before A.J. Brown got dealt to the New England Patriots, because it was rumored that he was going to be traded to the Patriots within 24 hours. And then all of a sudden it finally went through, later in the day on Monday. But you know what? You get A.J. Brown out of Philadelphia, who's had his issues in Philly. He's still one of the better receivers in the National Football League. He's older now, so I don't know how much explosive production he's going to have, but the Patriots get another weapon for Drake May. I like the move for both sides. It might work out maybe more for the Eagles at the end of the day, but the Patriots get a receiver that's a dynamic player that can help Drake May out.
Yeah, and again, this trade, Eagles agreed to the trade. A.J. Brown to the Patriots for a first-round pick in 28 and a fifth-round pick in 27. So it took a first-round pick to get him, and this is honestly the first time that I can remember since Randy Moss that the Patriots have really had a true number one wide receiver, a guy that they can go to, a guy that you can trust to make the big play when needed. I know Julian Edelman was there for a long time. He was really good. I wouldn't put him on the same level as a guy like Randy Moss or AJ Brown when he's at his best.
I like that move too. I mean, so those are the two big trades that happened in the NFL. How about this? Quarterback Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to become a CBS Sports analyst, according to Adam Schefter today. He also had an offer on the table from the New York Jets to join the team as a backup to Geno Smith. Had acknowledged last month in New York Post that he was considering joining CBS Sports, but Wilson, a 10-time Pro Bowl selection who won a Super Bowl and a prestigious Walter Payton Man of the Year award during his career, is now set to leave. Mark Neville, Sports San Diego CEO, is going to talk about some of the international friendlies that are coming to San Diego. You can come check out as they get ready for the World Cup here in the United States, coming up very soon. When's the official start date of the World Cup? That should be coming up in the next couple of weeks,
it
right?
It is coming up. Hold on.
Come on, soccer guy. You're supposed to be on that. It's been like...
Okay. All right. Let's
I was out yesterday, and one of the guys that was with us was like, oh, Frank's got to be super stoked for the World Cup, right? Coming up. And I was like, well, not as stoked as he would have been if the motherland was in it.
Mexico and South Africa kick off at noon on June 11th. So next Thursday.
Next week. So we'll have Mark Neville on to talk a little bit about the friendlies that will be played here. I think we got a couple here playing in San Diego
this weekend.
I wanted to get your reaction from yesterday's game. I mean, I thought Jase Bowen was overmatched. You could say he was amped up, whatever. It didn't look very good, but you got to give him, I think you can't judge the entire MLB, potential on one game. But he definitely did not look very good at the plate yesterday. Fernando's still hitting the ball well, base running error. Offensively, they're 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, 0 for 27 with runners in scoring position against the Phillies. They've now dropped their fourth straight game against the Phillies. They've lost 7 of the last 10, and I think 7 of the last 8, if I'm not mistaken. They're playing really poor baseball. Manny Machado continues to hit under 200, and it's June 3rd. Randy Vásquez gave up the 2 runs. Bullpen only gave up 1 earned run. You lost 3-2 to the Phillies yesterday. What was your takeaway from all those facts?
I mean, as far as Jase Bowen goes, again, congratulations on the first hit. But yesterday he was an amped up situation, and Yon Duran did exactly what you should do as a veteran pitcher in that spot against a rookie, and that is give him absolutely nothing to hit, and he struck himself out. That's all it was. I mean, there were 3 sweepers in the opposing batter's box. I mean, it was the textbook this move by Duran to not give him anything to hit in that spot, because you know he's amped up, you know he wants to be the hero, you know he's going to swing at anything, and that's exactly what he did. And Bowen, to his dismay, did not learn after the first 2 that he's just going to keep throwing that same pitch in the same spot.
I understand being amped up for the first at bat, Frank, but he looked terrible in all 4 of his at bats. I mean, even the ball that he floated over the second baseman's head, none of the at bats looked remotely close to, I know how to handle this kind of pitching. And I think it's concerning for a lot of people, especially this is the first time you got to lock in and watch a Jase Bowen at bat that wasn't spring training. And unless you watch every minor league game and you're watching El Paso Chihuahua games, based on what I saw yesterday, I can see why he has struck out so many times in AAA. And if AAA pitchers are mowing him down like that, then this is going to be tough to watch him at the major league level. But I will say at the same time, it's game 1. So you got to give him, you got to throw him out there a handful of times and hopefully he can make an adjustment and run into one. But I didn't like the early things of what I saw to Jase Bowen, but he wasn't the reason they lost. I mean, you were trying to catch lightning in a bottle. The guy was red hot in AAA. Ramon Laureano's on the injured list. I mean, you have what you have. And I'm glad the kid got a hit yesterday in the first game. I mean, going 0 for 4 would have sucked. But at the same time, we talked about this. The Stars, you only get 1 to perform at any given time right now, and for the Padres, and that's been the last couple of years. It would be nice to have 2 of them perform at the same time, at least 2.
Yeah, and Fernando's performing now. To his credit, he has completely turned it around. Was he hitting 275?
Yeah.
So he has turned it around. The base running mistake, I could see what his thought was.
It's 2 outs. It's never. I mean, that's. It's hard to. It's hard to criticize him for that. I mean, it's kind of bonehead, but at the same time, it's that's a very unique situation.
It's inexcusable, that kind of mistake. But he was thinking, the second that Bohm throws this ball, I'm stealing an extra base.
Correct.
I'm getting to third.
Because he definitely thought, I mean, that was a slow enough roller that if Baum does throw it to first, Andujar's safe by a mile.
Yeah.
And then we got runners on first and third.
Yeah. So he was trying to do he was caught trying to do too much in a situation where this team has not succeeded.
I said that when it happened.
Yeah.
I said, he looks like a guy that's trying to score all the runs himself because this offense is so bad. That looks like a guy that's trying way too hard to make things happen.
So I could see the idea that he just got way too far off of second base. He cheated too far. I don't know if Baum looked over and saw him, or if somebody said, hey, back pick, something like that. Somebody alerted him that he was so far off that they could get him. But yeah, Fernando's doing way too much. Bowen, again, as you said, he's not predicted to be the savior of this team. He wasn't an Ethan Salas. He wasn't a Leo DeVries.
He's not Kevin McGonigal coming up.
Yeah, he's not one of those prospects of the future. He's just kind of there and got hot. So that's why you called him up. But I mean, it's not good, and it layers on this string of bad baseball that we have seen this team play. Losing games is one thing. Losing and being hard to watch is a completely different thing. And the last time I remember this team being just impossibly bad to watch was the end of the 2023 stretch, where you're losing games in Houston right before you went on that big run right at the end of the season. Those 2 or 3 weeks before that, like at the end of August, early September, before you just rattled off almost a perfect 2 weeks to end the season. That's the last time I remember this team being really, really bad and really difficult to watch. We haven't gotten there yet with this team, but it's starting to bring up memories of that stretch.
And here's the context too. I mean, you brought up 2023, and Kevin Acee wrote about this, and it tells you the kind of the positive side of things of this thing. This is what teams go through eventually, and I know people don't want to hear it, but I think people forget about the last time they bitched and moaned about this team, which is this time of the year last year, and this time of the year in 2024, and this time of the year in 2023. I'm not just saying that just to say that. Let's take a look at history, shall we? In 2023.
I like history.
Oh, yeah, so do I. 2023, that was a miserable year, right? They decided they got hot at the very end of the season to make it look like they weren't as bad.
2 weeks.
Right.
That was when Josh Hader refused to get 4 outs in San Francisco.
Yeah, it was, but they were like in it. They were still magically in it.
Yep.
2023, they were swept by the Angels in early June. They fell 3 games under 500 by June 18th. They reached 50-50 after the All-Star break, then won 19 of 23 games and finished that's 2024. Finished with 93 wins. They didn't miss the playoffs in 2023 with 93 wins. That was 2024. In 2025, there were 11 games over 500 on June 3rd. They lost 11 of 16 shortly after. They played roughly 500 baseball into July, still finished with 90 wins. The lesson of that is baseball seasons are long, and obviously momentum changes quickly. The counter argument to that is neither of those teams had an offense this dysfunctional for this long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like as Marge
said. But they also didn't have the pitching staffs that this Padres team has.
Yeah, like Marge just said in the chat, teams don't go through 2.5 months of poor hitting, especially with your star players. We're not trying to mask the problem. We're not just trying to say, oh yeah, the offense is bad, but here, look at this. We're saying, yeah, this is not good. Also, though, this team does have a history of being able to turn it around and be able to get to that 90-win plateau, at least over the last couple of years, and make the postseason.
I feel like the boy that cried wolf, though, every time I have to, read in any daily newsletter from Kevin Acee about the Padres insisting that the bats will eventually wake up when it is June 3rd. And this is 100% right, like he said in the newsletter. The evidence supporting that belief becomes thinner every day. It does. It becomes thinner every day. I mean, I can listen to that for like a couple of weeks in May. I can listen to that, at different ports of the season. I can't listen to that from March all the way through June 3rd and be like, okay, I guess it's just going to magically appear out of nowhere. And I think that's where fans are tired of listening to the whole, like, it's going to come around. You got to start seeing some type of results. At least with Fernando, you're starting to see that result. You're starting to see him wake up and he's getting base hits. And, he might not be hitting every ball over the fence, but he's rifling the ball up the middle. He's getting knocks. He's got his average up to 275. You can't say that about Jackson Merrill. You can't say that about Manny Machado. You can't say that about Xander Bogaerts. I mean, these are the other guys that it would be nice to see them, have a couple of multi-hit games in a row. And you could be like, okay, I can see that this is coming around, not just like, oh, trust me, bro. Like, it's not going to work. I mean, that happened in 2023. The only difference in 2026 is the Padres pitching has been so much better than it was in 2023. It's kept them in games. And they've had these late inning heroics. And the other big difference between this year and 2023 is in 2023, their situational hitting was awful. And this is coming from a team, by the way, that's 0 for 27 with runners in scoring position against the Phillies. But 2026, they've had some situational hitting and some kind of lucky hitting in late innings that have saved them from being probably 500 or like a couple of games below. So there is some differences here, but at the same time, I don't know what it is about this core, but they like somehow go on these long runs out of nowhere. And it goes to say, like, two things can be true. One, the offense sucks right now. And two, it's a long season. Those things can both be true.
And to your point about the early situational hitting success, that's why you're currently seeing the numbers you're seeing with Baseball Reference, the Padres are hitting 235 with runners in scoring position, which is 21st in baseball. Bottom third, still not good, but higher than you would think based off of what we've seen recently. Same thing with their OPS. They have a 726 OPS, which is 17th in baseball, middle of the pack. And it's all because of what we saw earlier in the season. So they have shown some flashes of being able to hit with runners in scoring position and get those situational hits. They're just not doing it right now.
Yeah, it all really starts with Manny. We'll get to that later on the 11 o'clock hour. I do want to get to some of their phone calls. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Rick in Lakeside. Rick, what's going on, man?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, it's a pretty tough to watch right now. I'm wondering about the status of Campuzano. The Freddie Fermin on the strike challenge has got to be the worst catcher in baseball.
He's actually not one of the worst catchers in baseball when it comes to the challenges, surprisingly enough. I think a lot of the times Fermin tries to do it to try to like calm the pitcher down a little bit. And, I mean, I think we've heard that from some of the analysts that we have had. But yeah, it'd be nice to have Campusano back. The latest report we got, he was starting to do some baseball activities in Arizona. Didn't really know if they were going to have him play any games over there yet. Sounds like he's not at that point yet. But if he does start playing in games, he'll be doing them, at some type of rehab assignment, if you will. But I appreciate the phone call, Rick. We do want to continue our conversation here. Let's get to Cameron in San Diego. Cameron, what's going on, man?
Braden, my man, what's up? All I got to say is I love the Padres, but, man, they're hard to watch right now. Beginning of the season, they gave you some hope towards the later innings. Now I just turn it off. I don't even want to watch it. My hot take tonight, we're getting perfect gamed by Sanchez. That's my hot take.
Wasn't that your hot take last week?
It was, but it's changing this week because they've been worse.
So this week they'll actually do it. Okay, all right. Well, Cameron did that last week. I guess you could just keep throwing it out there. I mean, we did that with the Fernando thing. I don't think they're going to get a perfect game. They actually... I thought they hit Sanchez pretty well. They hit him. They just couldn't run
score.
Scoring is a little bit different. I don't know, man. I mean, Manny Machado almost hit a home run against those guys. We said it last week, Frank. You know what we said? It's a home run next week. Well, you know what, Frank? It's next week.
Yeah, it is.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to continue your phone calls in the 11 o'clock hour. We do got to take a break, though, because we got Mark Neville coming on. We're going to talk about some of the big events that are coming to San Diego over the summer, especially with some of the international friendlies getting ready for the World Cup. We'll talk with Mark Neville, CEO of the Holiday Bowl, when we come back. CEO of Sports San Diego, when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number sports station, 97.3 The Fan. College sports might be heading toward its biggest turning point yet. A new bipartisan bill in Congress is trying to give the NCAA more power again, allowing it to enforce transfer limits, spending caps, and NIL regulations. Why? Well, because leaders across college athletics think the current system is spiraling out of control. At the same time, SEC leaders like Kirby Smart are openly talking about the possibility of the SEC creating its own rules or even breaking away entirely. And honestly, that idea doesn't sound impossible anymore. The SEC and Big Ten already dominate financially, and the playoff expansion fights are creating even more tension between conferences. Can college sports stay united under the NCAA, or are we moving toward a future where the biggest conferences completely split off and run the sport themselves? A bipartisan group of U.S. senators has introduced one of the most significant college sports reform bills we have seen in years. The proposed legislation, called the Protect College Sports Act, was crafted by Senators Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell and aims to restore some authority back to the NCAA after years of legal challenges and NIL chaos. The bill would give the NCAA limited antitrust protection, allowing it to enforce several rules that courts have weakened in recent years. And those proposed rules include limiting athletes to one penalty-free transfer, capping eligibility at 5 years, preventing former professional athletes from competing in college sports, and restricting schools from hiring coaches away from another program during that team season. The legislation would also provide legal backing for the new College Sports Commission to enforce spending caps tied to athlete revenue sharing. Frank, as I go through a lot of these things that are in this bill. I hope it passes because these are the rules that the NCAA has lacked for the last decade plus when it comes to balancing and evening the playing field. There's so many rules in college athletics, especially football, that just don't make any sense. And unless they get some limited antitrust protection, none of these rules ever hold up in the court of law, which gives the NCAA the biggest problem that they have had in this new era of NIL.
Yeah, the new era of NIL has ushered in effectively a runaway freight train as far as college athletics, more specifically football, is concerned. At the heart of this bill is an attempt to slow down what many leaders believe has become an unsustainable spending race in college athletics. Even though schools agreed to revenue sharing caps through the House settlement framework, many programs have reportedly found ways around those limits outside NIL collectives and business partnerships. Some estimates now place elite football roster spending at nearly $40 million annually. Supporters of the bill argue the current system is widening the gap between wealthy programs and everyone else. Boy, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? The concern is especially strong among conferences outside the Big Ten and the SEC, which continue to dominate financially because of their massive television contracts, where Maria Cantwell described the bill as an effort to stop college sports from becoming, quote, a runaway arms race.
I just look at this in a sense. I mean, what college football, specifically college football, this is all about college football, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it's college athletics in general, and there's probably a couple of things mixed in, but the biggest problem right now is college football with a couple other sports that have been, close to college football in the last couple of years. They're doing this because of that. But it's the same as Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the rich keep getting richer and unlimited spending and unlimited transfers, which means unlimited free agency. I mean, there's so much of that involved in these leagues right now, and money and greed is leading the way. It's leading to a worse product, not only in Major League Baseball, but here in college athletics. And there need to be rules in place in order to make this thing competitive and ultimately make more money for the entities at B. And I think being united on this is a lot better than going your separate ways. And in doing so, and trying to limit the spending and prevent some of the schools from outspending everybody, what you have to do, just like Major League Baseball is thinking about doing, is what the NFL collectively did a handful of years ago. And that was, we're going to pool our TV contracts together, and we're going to benefit. We're going to have everybody benefit from this, and it's ultimately going to make a more competitive environment. And that's exactly what's going to go on in college athletics. One of the most interesting pieces of this legislation involves conference television rights. The proposal would allow conferences to negotiate media deals collectively as one large group if enough schools agree to participate. The idea is to reduce the financial gap between conferences by sharing television revenue more evenly across college football. However, there is skepticism about whether the SEC or Big Ten would ever agree to give up the financial advantage they currently hold. In Major League Baseball, they've convinced the Dodgers, Mets, and Yankees to do that. Obviously, these power conferences, I don't know if it's going to be as easy of convincing. But the bill also attempts to stop future college conference realignment, expansion involving the SEC and Big Ten. They basically want to put all the rules back to what they were, the landscape to what it was. They're going to allow players to get paid, but you have a limited amount of resources you can use to make it fair, and you can't poach coaches. I mean, they basically are combining old college. Joining us now on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. The CEO of Sports San Diego, Mark Neville, joins us to talk about some upcoming events coming to San Diego, especially this upcoming weekend where we got some international soccer weekend coming up. So it should be a fun time. Mark Neville joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. A very busy man, always flying over the country to get more events here in San Diego. Joining us from the airport. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, what's happening, Braden? Thanks for having me on. This is it's exciting. It's the FIFA World Cup is here, and we got 4 of the teams going to be playing right here in San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium this weekend.
4 teams playing at Snapdragon Stadium this weekend. It's a really fun time. But for Mark, for before we talk about the games and how people can get tickets to watch some of the games this weekend, San Diego fortunate enough to be a host base city for two of the countries that are competing in the World Cup. I know you guys had a lot to do with making a lot of that happen. What was that process like, and how cool is it for you to help bring some sort of the World Cup to San Diego?
Yeah, it's super exciting. To have the two teams that you're referencing, of course, are Switzerland and New Zealand, and Switzerland just came into town yesterday. They'll be training here for the entirety of their run in the FIFA World Cup, as will New Zealand, and they're going to be coming here in a couple days. So to have them both in town, of course, we love the room nights. They're going to be staying here for a long time, and it's going to drive a lot for our in terms of economic impact and room night generation, which is fantastic. Their fans, the media contingency, will be fantastic. They're going to be coming and going from San Diego as they're going to be training here and then flying around to wherever they're going to be playing their matches. And that was a big win for us. We were excited. We were hoping to get one team. We were expecting kind of to get one team. We were hoping to get more than that, and we did. And so that worked out for us really well.
And obviously, San Diego not hosting World Cup games, but all these teams need some friendly competition before the World Cup starts to get amped up. And we're fortunate enough to host two of those games coming up this weekend at Snapdragon Stadium. Who is coming to play here at Snapdragon Stadium, and how can fans, or maybe some people that love soccer here in San Diego, go out and watch some of these countries before they compete in the World Cup?
Yeah, this is really a great opportunity for San Diegans to see what's going to be happening. Four of the teams are going to be right here this weekend. And Saturday at noon at Snapdragon Stadium, we're going to have Switzerland and Australia going up against each other. And I think it's probably safe to expect you'll see the entirety of the rosters playing in these matches. It's the final tuner for them as they both get ready to start tournament play in a week or so after this match. And then on Sunday, we got Colombia and Jordan at 4 p.m. Also at Snapdragon Stadium. So we were really happy. We got to partner up with SDFC and with Snapdragon Stadium to bring these matches to San Diego. And we expect some pretty good crowds for the weekend. And we encourage everybody, if you want to check this out, see these four teams that are going to be competing in the World Cup, go to snapdragonstadium.com and get your tickets. Are our tickets still available? And it's going to be a great weekend. And I encourage people, get them for both matches, because this is going to be really like a once-in-a-lifetime type thing here for us here in San Diego.
And then, of course, for parking and stuff, too, is it better to go online and get that while you're at it?
Yeah, or even better yet, take the trolley. That's what I do when I go to the stadium to watch SDFC or the Aztecs or Wave. I always take the trolley, and it's pretty darn easy. And I do it every single time. If I'm not working an event, I'm taking the trolley.
We're talking with Mark Neville, the CEO of Sports San Diego, here on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. Mark, there's a lot of events going on throughout San Diego. One just kind of wrapping up the Division I Golf Championships up at the club at Omni La Costa. That's a pretty cool event that we're able to host. But June is jam-packed. I know July is. I know a lot of people already like coming out to San Diego for the summer anyway. But we got a lot of big events coming up. And since I don't know if we'll have time to get you on before the massive event with NASCAR, but what you got any updates on the NASCAR event for the San Diego weekend? And for people that are planning on attending that event, where can they see updates on, how to get there and how, all the other processes are for the NASCAR weekend?
Yeah, well, first I encourage everybody to go to NASCARSanDiego.com to get information on that event specifically if people have tickets to it. This is a really big month. We got these two friendlies at Snapdragon Stadium, which are going to be just so much fun. And then right on the heels of that, Father's Day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, June 19th to the 21st, NASCAR San Diego is going to take over. And this is a huge event. I think it's certainly one of the bigger events that we've had here in San Diego in terms of these special sports events. I think you're going to be able to hear it throughout a lot of San Diego, even if you're not there. It is going to be a fantastic event, huge for San Diego and for the economy, hotel room night generation, people going to the restaurants and shops and our attractions. This is going to be one of the most impactful sporting events that we've had in San Diego in a long time. And we hope it's around for many, many years after this one.
Yeah, we do too. A couple of NASCAR. Well, Frank does for sure. He's a big NASCAR guy. He's excited to go out there and check it out. A lot of other fun events going on throughout the summer. Or if people want to check out what some of these events are during the summertime or in the fall, what's the best place to look at some of these great sporting events that you guys bring here to San Diego to increase tourism?
Encourage everyone to go to sportssandiego.org. sportssandiego.org. It'll have everything there and all the events that we're working on, everything from the Trust and Will Holiday Bowl at the end of the year, the Rady Children's Invitational, the Bill Walton Classic that we just announced a little while ago. We got the California State Games, got all sorts of stuff going on around our offices right now. But for the next couple days, we are focused on the two friendlies at Snapdragon Stadium. It's going to be, if you're a soccer fan, you're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And we ask everybody to go to snapdragonstadium.com.
Snapdragonstadium.com. Get yourself some tickets for this weekend. Game again on Saturday will be Switzerland and Australia. And then the game on Sunday will be Colombia and Jordan. Go out there and get your tickets and help support some local tourism here to San Diego. Should be a fun time. Mark, we appreciate the time as always. Have a safe flight, and we'll look forward to talking to you closer to NASCAR.
You're awesome, Brady. Thanks a lot.
Mark Neville joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. This guy's geeking out over here for NASCAR.
We're ready. We're ready to go. Hopefully.
There's a lot of cool events coming to San Diego, of course, that we talked about. I mean, the D1 Golf Championships are going on right now. Today, I think, is the last day of that at the Omni in La Costa. You have the weekends, the international friendly weekend as they lead into World Cup play. Again, Saturday, Switzerland and Australia. Sunday is Colombia and Jordan. And then they got a lot of other things out there as well. Some surfing events that are coming to San Diego. You also have the NASCAR. June 19th to the 21st, California State Games, as we mentioned. The International Flag League is doing the San Diego Bowl in September, the 11th to the 13th. They have the USA Pickleball National Championships coming to San Diego around the Halloween holiday. You got, of course, the National University Bill Walton Classic that's now part of the repertoire for Sports San Diego, and the Rady Children's Invitational, which will be at the end of November. So a lot of great tourism here in San Diego.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you who are interested in the NASCAR stuff that's going on, last Tuesday was supposed to be a walkthrough of like the track and starting to see a lot of the stuff as it's getting built on Coronado because of the passing of Kyle Busch. That got pushed back. That is all happening today. If you want to see some of the stuff, a good amount of the stuff actually, that's going on at Coronado today, a great account to follow is Jeff Gluck, JEFF_GLUCK. He's a motorsports writer for The Athletic. He has posted up several pictures, several videos of the track, of the grandstands, and what you can kind of expect. He hasn't posted too much, but it's more than I've seen anywhere else about what is going on at Coronado right now.
Should be a fun time. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to checking that out over in a couple of weeks. I mean, that's going to be a lot. That's getting here a lot faster, faster than you would think. Let's go back to our Padres conversation a little bit. Okay, I really want to, again, like, two things can be true at the same time. And I think these two things are, the big picture is the Padres are playing like a non-playoff team. And the season's very long. Those things can both be true. The standings may still show the Padres in the playoff mix, but their recent play tells a different story. Obviously, I mean, after losing 7 of the last 8 games and falling to the Phillies 3-2 last night, the Padres' offensive problems have moved beyond a simple slump and into a season-defining concern. The central argument around this is one that has been building for over a month. If this offense doesn't improve dramatically, the Padres could fall out of contention before A.J. Preller even gets a chance to address weaknesses at the trade deadline. The concern isn't just that they're losing, but it's how they're losing. Constant failure with runners in scoring position, no lineup depth, inability to string together quality at-bats, over-reliance on a handful of players, and little margin for error for the pitching staff. The offense remains one of the worst-performing units in baseball despite featuring several high-profile veterans. And then we go back to the history time. If you feel like we've had this conversation a lot over the last couple of years, especially when it's like, I don't know, a little bit of cloud cover and a little cool in the summertime, like in May, June, well, it's because we have. In fact, we've done it the last 2 seasons of Padres baseball. In 2024, the Padres were swept by the Angels in early June. They fell 3 games under 500 by June 18th. There were 3 games under 500 by June 18th in 2024. They were 50-50 after the All-Star break. I remember that. The first game. Do you remember the first game after the All-Star break for the Padres in 2024? Do you remember that game?
Am I supposed to?
I remember that game. You want to know why I remember that game? I was actually at my sister's friend's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at my phone. The Padres got their ass handed to them by the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, the game was not even close.
I don't remember that.
They got their ass handed to them by the Cleveland Guardians when they were 50-50. And at that point, I said, this team's done. They're cooked. There's no way. There is no way this team's going to achieve anything. Remember that was the year. This is 2024. This is the year
roller coaster year.
That Mike Schilt said. This is the year that Mike Schilt was like, "Hey, we don't believe this is a roller coaster. How could this be a roller coaster?" It's like, brother, you're hanging around 500 for the first 100 games. I don't know how you don't think this is a roller coaster. First game out of the All-Star break, they got their ass handed to them by the Cleveland Guardians. And I said, this season is over.
Funny thing is, it probably was my day to watch that game because I was probably here.
Yeah, your day to watch it.
Out.
Your day to watch it. You know, you've probably watched a lot of Padres games over the years now at this point.
I have. Many.
I'll go back to see if I find the score of that game because it was in the end of July. Yeah, they lost 7-0 to Cleveland. It dropped them to 50-50. And I was like, this team ain't it. And what did they do after that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row. They won 7 in a row. And then they won 9 of 10. And then they ripped off just an insane second half. And this is a team, by the way, that I thought had no chance of being good 100 games in. And here's the other thing too, Frank. 100 games in, I don't know about you. That seems like a pretty good sample size, 100 games into the season. 100 games into the season. But that was the 50-50 mark at the All-Star break. They won 19-23. They finished the season with 93 wins.
I'm seeing it in the chat. No, everything is not awesome right now.
I have not said that one time.
Everything kind of stinks right at this current moment.
Everything kind of sucks.
Never had to experience a 3-month slump before. We're not saying that either. This team is bad right now. It's not good. But you can't just pick and choose what history you choose to look at. We're looking at the most recent examples, the last 2 seasons when this team was exactly like this.
Right.
And turned it around.
What game are they on now?
There have been a heck of a lot more times where they have not turned it around. Sure. But you can't, but because they have a tendency to not turn it around doesn't mean you can't ignore the last 2 years. It also doesn't mean you can't acknowledge the fact that this team ain't good.
Right now.
Which it's not.
The Padres, 59 games through the season in 2024. Remember, this is the season everybody thought the Padres were going to win the World Series. I don't know how many times I have to reiterate that. Their 59th game, they lost to the Marlins 9-1, and they were 30-29 and 6.5 games out of first place. Right now, 59 games into the season, they're 32-27, and they're 6.5 games out of first place. I'm just telling you, it's they do this almost every single year. I'm not saying everything's great because it's not, and they're playing poorly. And I honestly think their offense is playing worse right now than they did at that point of the season of 2024.
Of the last 4 years, this is by far the worst the offense has been.
It has.
By far.
And you know what? I'll look at the stats just to double check, but it feels like it's the worst it's ever been. But again, 2024, they were able to win 93 games despite all of those numbers that I just mentioned. We'll go through those numbers and we'll see how they're hitting. But I still think the pitching staff's been better this year than it was in those years. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant Show, hour in, hour number 2 when we come back. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Urban Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Padres struggling offensively. And
Are they?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about, like, here's the deal. We talked about it just feels like they have been way worse offensively in 2026 than they have in the last couple of years. But that doesn't mean that they are, just because we feel that way. But you know what? Just for case in point, let's just, pull up the numbers. And I did during the break. And they are way worse. I mean, it's not even close how bad they are, just in the last couple of years. And so, as much as you can say it's a long season, I think two things can be true. You start looking at what the Padres have done this season and what they did in the last couple of years. And the reality is, even though they are relatively in the same spot they've been the last couple of years, offensively, they're playing very poorly. And, historically bad. It's honestly amazing how bad that they have played on offense for a team that has had, guys that have been there and done that before, with most of their stars now on pace for career worst seasons. So I'm just taking the data from the first 59 games, obviously, because the Padres have played 59 games this season. And if you look at 2024, through their first 59 games of the year. Oh, hang on. Let me fix that for 2024. For the first 59 games of the year in 2024, the Padres were 30-29. Right? We talked about that during the last break. 30-29. You ready for these numbers?
Go ahead.
You're going to kill to have these numbers.
Uh-oh.
Padres are 30-29. They scored 255 runs. They allowed 250 runs. And in their 2,205 plate appearances, they had 508 hits with 56 home runs, 245 runs batted in, 47 stolen bases, 181 walks, 418 strikeouts. And they had a 255 team average with a 321 on base and a 709 slug. A 709 OPS. 709 OPS. The Padres, through 59 games this season, they've had 2146 plate appearances. They're 32-27 in these 59 games. 418 hits, which is almost 100 hits less than the 2024 team. They've had 80 doubles, which is 2 off the pace of the 2024 team. They've had the exact same amount of triples as the 2024 team to this point, which is interesting. They've actually hit 5 more home runs than the 2024 team at this point.
Hey!
That's a positive. They've stolen more bases than the 2024 team. They've been caught stealing 4 more times, but they've attempted a lot more. They've walked a lot more than the 2024 team. The Padres walked 191 times this year. They've walked 181 times in 2024. They've struck out almost 100 times more this season than they did in 2024. It's almost 100. I mean, it's a 502 strikeouts to 418 strikeouts. So it's close. Batting average. You ready for this?
No.
Do you know what the team batting average is for the Padres in 2026?
I think it was 217, 218.
It's 218
yesterday.
now. It's
Okay.
218 with a 293 on base and a 363 slug. That
That's
gives
not
him a
good.
655 OPS. No, there's nothing about that that's good. In 2024, the Padres were 1 game above 500 through this point. They were hitting 255 with a 321 on base, a 388 slug, and a 709 OPS. It's better, but it's not much better.
Oh, it's not.
Better, but it's not anything to write home about. I mean, you'll take the 255 average, but
you said 255
to 218. I mean, obviously the batting average is pretty good.
255 batting average right now. If the Padres had a 259 team batting average right now, They would be tied with the Pirates for fourth best in baseball if they had a 255 team average right at this moment.
I look at the on-base percentage, too. I mean, the Padres, 321 to 293. The slug, higher in 2024, 388 to 363. The OPS, I mean, the OPS is 50 points off or whatever. But, like, as you go through the numbers for 2024, yes, the 2026 numbers are definitely way worse. But you look at 2024, they're not really anything to write home about. I mean, what was the biggest complaint in 2024? This team hits, but they don't hit for any slug. I mean, they don't. I mean, everything's relatively the same. Their batting average on balls in play in 2024 up until this point was 297. This year it's 261. They left more guys on base in 2024 through this point, 389 to 359.
God.
What? I don't have the chat up. Somebody talking.
YouTube chat, when do we blame the hitting coach? We blamed him last year, and he's in Houston now.
Well, this is the hitting coach from 2 years ago, and that was actually better.
I don't understand, man. Like, Houston has a top 10 batting average this year. The team batting average. It's not Steven Souza Jr. This team has been awful hitting for the last 4 years.
You know what's funny to me, though? Like, through 59 games, it's almost guaranteed that the Padres are going to have 7 triples. Because I just looked at, let's look at last year's numbers through 59 games. So last year, the Padres through 59 games are 35 and 24. Obviously, a lot better stretch, but they had a rough June and a 500 May. And up until this point, so they had 91 plate appearances. They had scored 246 runs, and they had allowed 228 runs. So they've allowed less runs last year at this point, and they have scored more runs last year at this point. At this point last year, the Padres had 86 doubles, 6 more than this year's team. They had the same amount of triples. They had way less home runs. I wouldn't say way. They had 8 less home runs. They had 53 home runs in 2025. They have 61 home runs in 2026. RBIs, 226. They only had 4 more RBIs than the Padres currently do. Stolen bases, Padres last year up until this point had 43. Padres have more this year with 56. Walks, 184 walks last year. They have 191 walks this year. Again, the strikeouts, 100 more strikeouts this season than last season. You look at last year's numbers in terms of averages. I mean, this is where it's like a little bit closer. It's still nothing to write home about, but it's not good. The Padres last year at this time were hitting 248. I mean, you take that right now if you're a Padres fan. They're hitting 248 last year at this time.
248 has them 6, tied for 6 with the Brewers.
But that was what they were last year, right? They were always at the top of the line. They were always at the top of the batting average conversation, and people said it was about the slug. Well, you got, again, the numbers are better in 2025 than this year, but a 248 batting average compared to a 218 batting average this year, a 315 on base compared to a 293 on base. I mean, that's almost like insignificant difference.
Neil in the chat, 92119 Neil. Souza came in with 0 experience and the numbers reflected. He's got to go.
It's not going to do anything.
How many more times, again, the players have admitted that they have gone away from the game plan that he has put out. That is something the players have admitted. Is it on the coach if the players aren't listening to the coach? Aren't doing what the coach is telling you to do? And the few times that they do actually do it, much like Seattle, in Seattle, it works. And they win and they hit. Whose fault is it at that point? Because if the players aren't listening to the coach, I'm sorry, that's not on the coach, that's the players. And I understand you can't fire the players, so the coach is the easiest one to go. You have to give him more than a year. You have to give him more than 2 months before you get rid of him. Because again, as I've said, if you start firing coaches, if you start firing members of the staff, that means that the manager is on the block at some point. And Craig Stammen this year has done nothing worthy of getting himself fired. Nothing.
Let's go back to this for a second. I mean, the difference between the on-base percentage up to this point last year and this point this year is 22 points. It's insignificant. And because this is like the whole situation of, well, we haven't struggled for 3+ months like we're doing this year. I mean, I know the offense is worse this year than it was last year at this time, but you can't look at the numbers last year and be like, oh, they're just raking.
No.
Last year for the first 3 months, they were struggling like this too. I think it's just, I just want to put this into context. So let's look at the slug, right? Everybody's about slug. The slug last year at this point was 380. And this year it's 363. I mean, the Padres are playing, we've talked about it, like historically bad in the last handful of years with how bad they've played offensively. But their slug last year at this point was 380. And right now it's 363. That's 17 points difference. That if you were comparing two players right now, you would look at these being like, it's really similar, and player B is worse than player A. But it's very close. I mean, 16 points off the difference on slug. Then you look at the OPS. The OPS last year for the Padres through 59 games was 695 as a team. It's 655 this year. Yes, it's worse this year than it was last year, but it's not far off. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but what I'm saying is it's a long season, and to say that the Padres will just never be able to come out of it after they've done it the last couple of years, because it's like, well, they've never struggled for 3+ months in previous years. I would consider last year and the numbers that they've had struggling for 3 months to start the season. I would even consider 2024. The only difference is you're hitting for a higher average, but everything else is relatively the same. And everybody that says like results matter in wins and losses, well, if that's the case, then wouldn't you say the 2024 team was struggling more? They're only a game above 500 at this point. The offense obviously is a massive problem right now for the San Diego Padres. It's regressed the last 3 years. And if you want to say maybe it's the players regressing, I don't know. Maybe it is. Their overall swing metrics would say it's not because they're aging as much as you would think. I think a lot of people know that that's the worst fear of any Padres fan, is that collapsing. And so that immediately pops in their head. But, I mean, you're looking at this trajectory. I will tell you this. If Steven Souza Jr. started as the hitting coach in 2024 and they regressed in 2025 and regressed again in 2026, then I would say
then it's
probably time to go. But the fact that they have regressed like this, and this is the first year of the new hitting coach, I don't think you can draw the conclusion that it's Steven Souza Jr.'s fault.
No, it's a player problem. It 100% is a player problem. And I'm seeing in chat now that, it's the fault of hiring a first-time coach. Who did everyone want as a manager?
Albert Pujols, a lot of fans said.
Albert Pujols.
He's a first-time manager.
First-time manager. What would make that any different?
Right.
Oh, it's because Albert Pujols is a player. He was a good player. Craig Stammen was a player too. Wasn't half bad. I mean, he wasn't a Hall of Famer. Wasn't that bad. He also played with a lot of the guys that he's managing right now. So don't you think he knows these guys a little bit better?
I don't think the reason why they're losing is because of coaching at all.
No,
really
it's
don't.
not. It's them. It's the players.
And more specifically, and I guess we have some time now, but more specifically, it's Manny Machado. I mean, at this point, it's really that. I mean, Manny Machado, and maybe we could point to that for the first couple of months. But I mean, Manny last year at this time was actually doing well, or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
we were saying how
he was like carrying the team.
Yeah, he was an anomaly last year. We always say, Manny's off to a slow start. He was hitting like 310 in the middle of May last year.
Manny Machado entered the game yesterday hitting 171. It's the lowest average among all 160 qualified hitters in Major League Baseball. I'm going to say that again. Manny Machado entered the game yesterday batting 171. There's 160 players that have enough at-bats to qualify for awards and everything like that. He is the worst hitter in Major League Baseball statistically from a batting average perspective. The worst. That I don't care how much of a drop-off you're going to get with age. Anybody that has put up the numbers that Manny Machado has put up in his career would never have a worst hitter in all of baseball stat. I mean, that is crazy to me. I think that shows you how much of an anomaly this is. There is no way a human being can fall off the face of the earth that fast in Major League Baseball without even just getting lucky. I mean, seriously, it's crazy. He is the worst hitter in all of baseball right now that qualified for batting average. He has the worst average in Major League Baseball. That statistic alone feels impossible. I agree with that statement. That almost feels impossible. Yet, despite the ugly batting average, Machado remains one of the Padres' most productive offensive players because he's tied for the team lead in home runs with 10. He's still driving in runs and still one of the team's biggest power threats. Kevin Acee alluded to in his daily newsletter, the article that he wrote, it calls to the calls to drop Machado to the bottom of the lineup are unrealistic. They're completely unrealistic. And anybody that thinks that if you had a manager with fire, right? Oh, we need a guy that's a fiery guy, or like moving somebody down in the order at this point is going to do anything. Come on, man. This isn't high school baseball. This is an amateur hour, okay? These are professional baseball players. That stuff works for your 8-year-old that plays Little League Baseball. It works in high school to an extent. It stops working in college, and it definitely doesn't work in professional baseball. So, to anybody to think that that's going to work like it's 1985, it ain't. So, I would suggest to stop suggesting that. It's not going to do anything. And the other thing on top of that, if you move Machado down, Frank, who's replacing him? Who on this team is replacing? Let's be honest
Jase Bowen, Freddie Fermin.
Who's replacing him? Start going through the roster of everybody else that's just like tearing it up. He's still one of the few hitters capable of changing the game with one swing. There are not enough better alternatives that are going to get you the production, elite production that Manny does when eventually he starts swinging the bat better. The most alarming takeaway of all, though, is he's not producing enough for a star. It's not even close. And unfortunately for the Padres, he's still one of their best options. The state of the offense. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over at Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. San Diego State football is officially entering a new era. The Aztecs will have 10 nationally televised games in their very first season in the Pac-12 with appearances on USA Network, the CW, CBS Sports Network, and even the Big Ten Network against UCLA on the road at the Rose Bowl. And for the first time since 2012, every regular season game will be played on a Saturday. This isn't just scheduling news. This is a statement about where San Diego State football stands nationally. Pac-12 clearly views San Diego State as one of the cornerstone programs of the new conference era. Now comes the real question. Can the Aztecs turn that spotlight into championships? Because the exposure just got a whole lot bigger. San Diego State football officially feels like it has entered a completely different chapter. The Pac-12 released its 2026 football television schedule this week, and the headline is massive for the Aztecs. 10 nationally televised regular season games in their first season as members of the new Pac-12 conference. And maybe just as important, for the first time since 2012, every single regular season game will be played on a Saturday, which I think is great news. It may sound small, but it's actually a major branding move for the program. No more random Friday night kickoffs, no more late week scheduling chaos. Schedule feels like a program that's now operating on a power conference stage to an extent, but love the way the national exposure is working out for the Aztecs. Also love the no Fridays as somebody that coaches high school football.
It's not, it is. P stands for power in the Power Act 12. That is, we've said that, we've pounded it home, and that is exactly what it is. It is a power conference. The schedule, though, is you're 100% right, though. The schedule does scream visibility. San Diego State will have 4 games on the USA Network, 3 games on the CW, 2 games on CBS Sports Network, and one partridge in a pear. I mean, one appearance on the Big Ten Network against UCLA. That is coast to coast exposure for a program trying to establish itself nationally, entering a brand new conference era. The Power Act 12 clearly sees San Diego State as one of the league's centerpiece brands moving forward. And honestly, conference needs San Diego State to succeed. And they're coming off a very, very good season to where it looks like they could do that out of the Mountain West.
Yeah, biggest games on the schedule, if you will. The season opens up September 5th at Snapdragon Stadium against Portland State on USA Network, but things ramp up immediately after that. Week 2 sends the Aztecs to the Rose Bowl against UCLA in a nationally televised matchup on the Big Ten Network. Obviously, that game feels a little symbolic. It's not just San Diego State versus UCLA. It's the Pac-12's new reality colliding with college football's new power structure. Then comes conference play. Aztecs open Pac-12 competition at home against Texas State on October 3rd before a huge home matchup against Fresno State and another one against Washington State later in the season on Halloween. And circle November 21st right now, Aztecs and Broncos of Boise State. That game has some serious potential to carry conference championship implications.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also you have that flex game as well, which you would have to assume will be on national television in some way, shape, or form. Coming up the weekend after that, it's your final game of the season. So most likely all 12 games being nationally televised. Now, what does this mean for San Diego State as a program? This isn't just about television windows. It's about perception. Nationally, programs become nationally relevant when recruits, media, and casual fans can consistently see them. That matters a lot. San Diego State is coming off a 9-4 season and its first bowl appearance since 2022. And now the Aztecs enter the Power Act 12 with some real momentum and real visibility. In the conference is also clearly betting on late season drama with this new flex game format, which will be right after that Boise State game where matchups can shift to maximize college playoff positioning. So it's a very, very good step for San Diego State for sure.
Yeah, and you understand where the Pac-12 is at. They want relevance immediately,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so San Diego State's going to benefit that from that here on this schedule. They also, I mean, some of their other non-conferences matchups are good. They're going to go to Toledo early in the season. They get James Madison, who was in the college football playoff last year, coming to Snapdragon Stadium. A lot of home games for the Aztecs, all Saturday games, as mentioned before, and almost every single game on national television. So obviously, with the other side of this exposure, expectations. I mean, that obviously rises dramatically. It's one thing to quietly win games in the Mountain West. It's another thing entirely when you're playing nationally televised games almost every week under the new Pac-12 banner. And now the question becomes, can San Diego State handle the spotlight? Because the opportunities are absolutely there. Snapdragon Stadium will be featured nationally. The recruiting pipeline hopefully gets bigger. The exposure increases. The stakes increase. Now the performance has to match the stage. The other update for the Aztecs, though, in football, they just got to commit from Cathedral Catholic. Isaac Cook, wide receiver for Cathedral, one of the best receivers in San Diego County, is committed to San Diego State. So we'll see where that plays. Obviously, a lot of things can change before signing day, but if San Diego State can have him part of their offense in another year, it should. That is one of the they've lacked in the receiving core. In signing players, they got to really add to the receiving weapons, and Isaac Cook is definitely a big add. So congratulations to him and his family, and hopefully he becomes an Aztec for life. But that's your Aztecs football update for the week. 11:25. Before I join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I mean, we continue to kind of go through like this list of like former players or current players, actually, that have put up Hall of Fame level numbers through their like age 32 season and then completely fell off a cliff. It's honestly hard to find, Frank. I mean, you want to talk about Nolan Arenado?
The names we're throwing out that we were throwing out during the break: Tim Lincecum, Madison Bumgarner, Clayton Kershaw, to an extent, all pitchers. Pitchers you expect to kind of have that decline,
especially ones that are playing on teams that are pitching deep into the playoffs.
Yes, Max Scherzer kind of ish.
Yeah, but that was like in his late 30s, because like even in his mid 30s, he was getting picked up by teams and still dominating.
But he's another guy who was pitching a lot in the playoffs because the Nationals were good, world champions.
But let's look at Arenado, right? Because Manny's what, 33 years old?
Yeah.
If we look at I want to get the exact age. I'm pretty sure like this is his age, and maybe he's 34. But in comparison, it's like amazingly bad how he is in his age 33 season. Like, look at Arenado. I think a lot of people can say safely that Nolan Arenado kind of was not the same player, in St. Louis. Although that being said, his age 31 season, he had a 7.9 WAR and was an all-star. But Nolan Arenado at age 33 hit 272 with a 719 OPS. The OPS isn't very high, but he still hit 272. And he had 16 home runs, 23 doubles, 71 RBIs. It was 102 OPS plus. Not great for a guy that's supposed to be a star, but that's like a gradual drop. It's not like an immediately fall off the face of the earth. I mean, he actually has a higher WAR right now in Arizona at age 35 than he did the entire season last year in St. Louis. I mean, his last year in St. Louis was awful, but he's had a little bit of a resurgence here in his age 35 season.
And this is why we go back, like we were talking earlier, and we had a lot of these breakdowns, especially with Jake Cronenworth at the beginning of the season, taking a look at his stats and taking a look at what he's doing, taking a look at his advanced metrics. That's why we use advanced metrics to look and see what is going on. We use it like it's detective work. We're not trying to explain away when we said last year, Xander Bogaerts' swing speed, his bat speed is still there. We're not trying, when we say stuff like that, we're not trying to explain away his issue. What we're trying to do is narrow down and try to figure out what the problem is. If his bat speed's down, okay, he's aging, he's declining. If his bat speed is still there and he's getting hard hits, well, he's just getting unlucky, or there might be some mechanical issue that he's trying to work on. If his bat speed is still there and he's getting soft contact, okay, maybe it's a timing issue that he has. That's what advanced analytics are used for, and that's how we use them, is detective work to try to figure out what the guy's problem is. So if we say Manny's bat speed is down a little bit from his career, it's only down like a mile an hour, maybe 2 from his career average. We're not trying to say that, okay, he can still swing the bat fast, therefore he's having a good offensive season. What we're saying is he's not declining. He's not showing age at that point. That's why we use those advanced analytics in the way we do, is to try to narrow down what the problem could be. Not to use it as an excuse.
Right. But the thing is, it's like, you look at the numbers for Manny, and I honestly think this is just, it's almost impossible how fast, if you really want to go with that narrative. And that's why I'm doing this exercise, because I don't honestly think it's just because he's old and he's cooked and it's over.
The 90th,
but like
someone in the chat just said 90th percentile in bat speed. His bat speed in 2024 was 90th percentile at 75.2 miles an hour. This year, it's at 74.2. He's only lost a mile an hour of bat speed.
That was mentioned in a Buster Only article, or maybe it was a Jim Bowden one, where they were talking about guys like, should he be concerned or not? And what they mentioned with Manny is like, yes, his bat swing is down, but it's still at an elite level in Major League Baseball.
Yes.
And that's natural. That's going to happen. I mean, he's not going, by the way, especially with like more and more young guys coming up that could probably swing the living what out of a bat. Of course it's going to go down. I mean, you're competing with younger and younger players every single year as they average everything out together and determine those percentiles. So his bat speed, of course, is going to go down, but
if his bat speed
it's still an elite level bat speed.
If his bat speed went from 75 last year to 67 this year, yeah, that's a decline. That is worrisome. It went down by a mile an hour. It's not good, but it's not falling off a cliff showing that he is declining and aging and that he's never going to get it back.
No, not when it's still better than everybody else in baseball. What was you say, 90th percentile?
It was 90th percentile in 2024 with a 75.2 mile an hour average bat speed. He is now in the 75th percentile,
right,
with a 74.2.
It's still in the above the 50 spot, which is what you're looking for. And we'll see. I mean, maybe he just is.
That's also a full season of swings too.
Right.
This is only a couple months.
Correct. Which also matters in context. But again, I'm looking for that player that just, had 30, up to his age 32 season, was a Hall of Fame level player and then turned into the worst player in baseball. I don't think it's ever happened.
His max exit velo is 109.6, which is his lowest of his career for sure, but it's still, I mean, that's incredible.
He has 10 home runs. But he definitely needs to hit a lot better. And that's why I think, like, when you look at these numbers, I mean, again, you can look at Adrian Beltre, who played, he had over 300 up until like his age, like 39 season, almost every single year. So, like, just because you get to like age 33 doesn't mean it's over for a lot of players. I mean, it's usually over for players like ones that didn't put up numbers that Manny did in the first part of his career. And by the way, a lot of people's stuff is down right now because of the fact that the pitchers have dominated so far this year. Manny has been terrible. I will say that. And he needs to be a lot better. But, I just think people just get to a level of extreme conclusions of he's just never going to be a good player ever again. I mean, guys that make it to that level, guys that make it to that level, that Hall of Fame level, don't drop off at all. But I always say this. I mean, if you look at Arenado, I like the Arenado comparison because he's kind of been the comparison for Manny for a long time, playing the same position. I mean, he had an awful year last year. 237 average, a 666 OPS, and 88 OPS plus. It was his second worst season in his career.
We do have a major move to...
well, it's a good time to go to break then.
Yes, it is.
We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll tell you what the roster move is on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Urban Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. Carolina Hurricanes are back in the final for the first time since 2006, and they're entering the series as favorites against the Vegas Golden Knights. With the biggest storyline, Mitch Marner. After leaving Toronto last offseason, Marner now leads the entire playoffs in scoring and is just 4 wins away from a Stanley Cup. The twist, last year he turned down a trade to Carolina. Now he has to beat the Hurricanes to win hockey's biggest prize. Meanwhile, Carolina coach Ron Brind'Amour is trying to become one of the few people in the NHL history to win a Stanley Cup with the same franchise as both a player and as a coach. And don't forget the goalie battle. Frederik Andersen versus Carter Hart could decide the entire series. Do the Hurricanes complete their 20-year journey back to the top, or do the Golden Knights add another championship to their growing legacy? After months of playoff hockey, we're finally down to 2 teams. Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights will battle for the Stanley Cup, and on paper, this matchup has everything. Carolina is making its first Stanley Cup appearance since winning it all in 2006, while Vegas is looking for its second championship in just 9 seasons of existence. Hurricanes enter the series as betting favorites, but if there's one thing we've learned about the Golden Knights, it's that counting them out is usually a mistake. Let's dive into the biggest storylines heading into the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, right now the first storyline is the Carolina Hurricanes have finally broken through. For years, the Hurricanes have been one of the NHL's most consistent regular season teams. They just could never get over the hump in the playoffs. That has changed this year. After multiple conference final disappointments, Carolina is finally back in the Stanley Cup final for the first time in 20 years. Their combination of elite defense, relentless forechecking, depth scoring, and disciplined play has made them one of the most complete teams in the National Hockey League. And the sports books agree. The Hurricanes opened the series as the favorites to win the Stanley Cup, a reflection of how dominant they have been throughout this postseason. Now for them, finish the job, yes or no?
Mitch Marner, Hollywood Scripts. If you're looking for the biggest individual storyline in this series, it's Mitch Marner. After spending 9 seasons in Toronto and never advancing past the second round, Marner left the Maple Leafs and joined Vegas last summer. Here's the twist. Last year, Toronto tried to trade Marner to Carolina, but he declined the move using his no-trade clause. Now, 1 year later, leading the playoffs in scoring, and he's going to have to beat the very team he refused to join in order to win the Stanley Cup. You couldn't write a better script. Marner has been sensational throughout the playoffs and is playing some of the best hockey of his career. If Vegas wins his first season away from Toronto, instantly becomes one of the league's biggest success stories. Well, I mean, he's playing in Toronto, and teams from Canada can't win the Stanley Cup, Frank. So it's not that surprising that he automatically gets to the Stanley Cup final.
The biggest surprise to me there is that he'd been in the league for 9 years. It feels like he's been in there for 5 at the most. Going from on the ice to behind the bench now, no individual is more connected to the Carolina Hurricanes franchise than Rod Brind'Amour. He captained Carolina to its only Stanley Cup championship in 2006 and now has a chance to coach them to another. Since becoming the head coach in 2018, Brind'Amour has transformed Carolina into one of the NHL's most respected organizations. The Hurricanes have reached the playoffs every single year under his leadership and are now finally back on the NHL's biggest stage. A championship would cement Brind'Amour as one of the most important figures in franchise history and one of the NHL's elite coaches.
How crazy has this season been? 2 months ago, John Tortorella was working in television.
Yeah.
Now he's coaching in the Stanley Cup final. Vegas made a shocking coaching change late in the season, and Tortorella stepped in. Fast forward to today, and he's preparing for his first Stanley Cup appearance since 2004 when he won a championship with Tampa Bay. That's a 22-year gap between final appearances, the longest in NHL coaching history. Love him or hate him, Tortorella's return to the spotlight has become one of the most fascinating stories of this postseason. I mean, every way you look at this, Frank, all these storylines, absolute fascinating Stanley Cup final.
Again, it's been absolutely incredible. And going back onto the ice with Jordan Staal, he spent more than a decade serving as the heartbeat of the Hurricanes organization. Now he's one series away from making NHL history. He won the Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh back in 2009. If Carolina wins this year, the 17-year gap between championships would be the longest gap for championships for a player's career in NHL history. It's a fitting opportunity for a player who has been one of the league's most respected leaders, potentially to go out on top and make some NHL history at that.
Let's talk about the goaltending battle. Championships are often won in net, and this year's final is no exception. Frederik Andersen has been outstanding for Carolina. His save percentage sits above .930, and he's been nearly unbeatable throughout the playoffs. On the other side, well, that's a very that's a very, very unfortunate, very unfortunate rejoiner for the show. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Very, very unfortunate rejoiner. So sorry, it's over. Blink-182. That's not the name of the song.
That's horrible.
I think it's Man Overboard.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, Man Overboard was our rejoiner for this segment. That was not intentional.
No, it was not. It's in a rotator.
Padres are moving and shaking, though.
They're moving, all right.
Roster move. Padres have said it's so sorry it's over for Nick Castellanos as he has been designated for assignment. So Nick Castellanos is off the team, and they have replaced him with Samad Taylor, infielder, outfielder from AAA El Paso. Samad will wear 0.
And again,
which
this
is not a number; it's just 0.
It's another. It's another contract selection. So it's a 40-man roster spot that was needed. Castellanos obviously being DFA'd off the 40-man roster, clean move.
I find that to be an interesting move for the sense of Jase Bowen came up yesterday and I thought he was awful. I mean, I'm glad he got the hit and I know it's one game and, he's not the savior of the franchise. Okay.
No.
There shouldn't be any pressure on him to go out there and
neither
perform.
is Samad Taylor for that matter.
And we'll get to Samad Taylor in a second. But I find it interesting that the Padres yesterday, and maybe this was already in the works, but the Padres yesterday saw Jase Bowen play baseball and saw the state of the team yesterday and were like, you know what? We got to keep Jase up here and we got to get rid of Nick Castellanos. It's interesting to me the timing of this. I know there's not a great time to DFA a player. I mean, DFAing Nick Castellanos in Philadelphia obviously is very ironic.
It's a little rough. That's
kind of tough. But you know what? You got to give the Padres credit. I mean, they're tired of playing as bad as they've played, and they need something to shake it up. So now it's Samad Taylor getting an opportunity. So Samad Taylor, I think a lot of Padres fans saw him in spring training, and he did pretty well in spring training. He got in a lot of games. I think he was competing for some spots, if you will. I mean, he has already made his major league debut, so he's not making his major league debut. He played for the Mariners for a little bit at the major league level. He's played for the Royals, I think, for a game, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been up and down to the big leagues. I mean, this would be his 4th major league team to play for. He has been on 3 MLB teams, 3 seasons in Major League Baseball. He played 31 games in 2023 for the Royals. He hit 200. He came up for the Mariners in 2024 and was 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored in 3 games. And then last year for the Mariners, he played in 4 games and was 1 for 9. God, why does the screen always just go black? So he's hitting he hit 120. I mean, I'm not even going to read the averages. It's a waste of time. He had 9 plate appearances last year for the Mariners. Now, in AAA El Paso this year, he was tied for 3rd in home runs with 7. He's hit 319 in AAA with a 406 on base, 500 slug, 906 OPS. He has struck out 39 times down in AAA, which is the 4th highest on the team. He's got 9 stolen bases, has driven in 25 runs. He has scored 35 runs himself. I mean, he's having a good number, a good start to the season down in AAA. And at this point, I think you're trying to find some type of lightning in a bottle. Try to get some, youth involvement here. And yesterday, as much as you could say maybe the Padres are trying to find a youth movement and try to spark this team a little bit with Jase Bowen. Well, it was for an injury. This is definitely a youth movement. Let's try to find a spark here for this offense.
Yeah. And I think Darnay Tripp posted it best here just about 10 minutes ago, saying Castellano had his moments, but didn't consistently produce. And I think that really sums up Castellanos' 2.5 months in a Padre uniform quite well.
I think so too. I mean, that was kind of the case. And this is we talked about this at the beginning of the season, right? When the Phillies DFA'd Nick Castellanos and you heard about all the baggage, I was like, I don't necessarily know if I want this guy. And then the Padres picked him up for league minimum. And I said, well, as long as he behaves in the clubhouse, which he did. I think he was a big clubhouse guy here in San Diego. I have no complaints. He seemed cool. He was cool with the media. I think he had a new lease on life to be there. And they tried the experiment of whether or not he could be a role player and a guy off the bench. And he had some of his moments, but at the same time, it's like it wasn't enough to continue to hold a roster spot. And with the fact that you only had to pay him league minimum, DFAing him was not that big of a deal. It's really not. So at this point, like, you're going to have to pay him the league minimum for the entire season unless somebody picks him up off waivers. I don't think he's played to a level where that's going to work out. We'll see what happens with Nick Castellanos in the future. Wish him well. But right now it's Samad Taylor's turn to try to get an opportunity in the outfield for the Padres. But he also plays middle infield. So maybe he is the spark that you need. And then when Laureano comes back, they decide to move Sungmoon Song down. But, I mean, they're trying to find some type of spark right now with this team. Again, Samad Taylor's not going to be the savior of this organization, but it's a good opportunity to see what the kid's got. And I don't really mind the move. I find the move to be a little odd in terms of like timing, but I mean, there's never a good time to DFA anybody. And so Castellanos out the door. And so the Padres, I think they have enough of the young guys, or should I say they have enough of the veteran guys coming off the bench. They're mixing in some young players, and we'll see what Samad Taylor looks like tonight. And I would imagine he's probably playing tonight. We'll see. But an interesting move, interesting timing for the Padres, Frank. That's my initial reaction to it. I don't mind them giving him an opportunity to play, seeing what the kid has. He's been up in the major leagues a couple of times, and we'll see what Samad Taylor has. And maybe he can provide a spark, and maybe Jase Bowen, after getting the butterflies out of the way in game one, can really lock in. But hopefully he has better at-bats than Bowen did last night. I mean, if he has at-bats like Bowen did last night, at this point, I mean, you pick your poison with what you got coming off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we both kind of discussed it yesterday about why Nick Castellanos would stay on this team a little bit longer. He wasn't by far your worst option off the bench. He was what we thought your second best option off the bench. So we did not expect him to get axed at all anytime soon. We knew it was going to come eventually. We thought it'd be close to the trade deadline. But yeah, this comes as quite a surprise, but the timing of it comes as a surprise. The move is not surprising, just the timing of it is.
Yeah, it's interesting with the amount of outfielders they have now. And even Kevin Acee mentioned that in his tweet. It's like, yes, I know that. I mean, he didn't directly say that, but we know that he could play infield. It just feels like they have a lot of outfielders on this team. I mean, they list them as an infielder, outfielder, but this team's got a lot of outfielders on it right now. I mean, even though they DFA'd an outfielder today with Nick Castellanos, and maybe he was listed as an infielder, but you look at the active roster, and they actually have, I'll tell you right now, if you look at the active roster for the Padres, they have Samad Taylor listed as an infielder, which I find interesting. Does it really matter, though, at this point? I mean, you have whether or not if he plays both, I mean, he can probably flip back and forth, but Samad Taylor on the ball club now. See what he's got. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Matt in New Jersey. Matt, what's going on, man?
Yeah, what's up, guys? How are you?
Doing well.
Listen, I couldn't listen. First off, I'm a Phillies fan, right? I'm going to put it out there. I like the Padres as well. You guys, I don't mind you guys. Hate the Dodgers. I can't believe I'm just watching my show, in Philly, and it says the Padres DFA casting. Yo, that's my guy. I was sick when the Phillies got rid of him because I hated Topper. Our manager stinks, right? I was happy when you guys gave him a chance, and then I just seen that. I said, damn. And then it's in Philly, too, the timing. I'm like, wow.
Matt, I appreciate the phone call. It's true. I mean, it's very ironic. Timing. It's wild timing. I mean, that's how stuff works out sometimes. But you know what? They never were able to give him a standing O in Philadelphia. Do you think they were going to? Maybe. Who knows? 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Robert in San Diego. Robert, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Frankie for me, and Braden Salmon. How's it going? I wanted to touch bases real quick on something that I heard in the morning show. The guys were talking to Brett Butler. He's a hitting coach for the Texas Rangers. He has so much detailed information on our pitching staff and what our players are doing. I don't understand why the players don't take that in into consideration during the game, that the whole league is taking notes. The whole league understands what our approach is, what our weaknesses, and what our strengths are. We got to play bigger. We got to think bigger. I just wanted to know what you guys think about that, how the league, some other coaches, even some other players are watching videos and watching us play, watching our weaknesses, knowing our strengths, and they're playing to that advantage. Another thing is, I think with all the numbers that you guys have and you guys are crunching up and you guys can't understand why we're struggling, maybe it's not the way the skill set plays out on the field. Maybe it's the way the mental is inside, with a team. We're missing key players like Arias. He was a glue. He was a guy that would cheer everybody up in the bullpen, in the dugout, whatever you call it. I just feel like we're missing some of those pieces, some young players that we have. They're not really playing like they should be playing. And I think that it has a lot to do with the way they're thinking about the game during the game. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
Robert, appreciate the phone call. I mean, sometimes I'm used to coaching high schoolers. Sometimes giving players information, a lot of information, is counterproductive because it makes them think about too many things. And some players can handle a lot of information and some players can't. So you have to understand what the players are and what's the best way to coach said players. I mean, and there's a learning curve there with trying to get certain things across to your team. It's not like they don't have the information. Sometimes it is presenting the information. And some guys don't like a lot of information. I mean, I remember Will Myers did not like a lot of information when he went up to swing. And the more information he got, the worse he played. Sometimes you got to let the players play. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We got a couple minutes. Frank and RB, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Frank?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, guys, I just had a couple of issues. One, why have the Padres absolutely decided they're not going to bunt? If it was not a perfect situation for Song to try a squeeze play last night in the seventh inning, they're having a terrible time getting runners in from third base with one out. And yet they disdain the bunt. They almost never try to bunt for base hits. So they sure don't squeeze. They don't sacrifice. And they're not scoring runs. You'd think this manager would have enough brain to realize that the guy is not a hitter. He hasn't been able to handle major league pitching. Why not try a squeeze last night? Second issue I have is that black hole we have at catcher. How low do these guys have to go before they bring up a catcher to try to hit 200 as opposed to another infielder? That's what I got, Braden.
Appreciate the phone call, Frank. I don't know how many catchers you got down there that can hit. I don't know how many catches you actually do hit in Major League Baseball. You had one in Castellanos, and everybody wanted him cut last year because in 20 at-bats, he didn't get a hit. That's one of your hitting catchers. I will say this about the bunting thing. Look, I don't think they need to bunt every single time. I think he brings up a good point. You are desperate for runs at this point in time. You cannot get a hit with runners in scoring position to save your life. A squeeze play right there, I would have welcomed it. He's not totally off there because you have to find ways to win baseball games, and good teams find ways to win baseball games. Who got a bunt base hit last night? Crawford got a bunt base hit last night. You know what he did? Saw the infield was playing back, dropped down a drag bunt, got a single. Sometimes you do need to incorporate that. I'm not anti all bunting, but you got the runner on third in that particular situation with one out, and Song up, who hasn't been able to hit water if he fell out of a boat since he started playing for the Padres.
Who was the runner on third?
It was Bogarts. He's not super slow.
He's not fast
but
either.
Guess what? You don't have a lot of options right now, Frank. It's not
that's fair.
The offense is clicking and you're raking and Song's hitting 280 and you're doing so much damage with runners in scoring position.
No, it's fair.
You kind of have to try some things every once in a while. I'm not opposed to that. Do I want to see him get a guy on, bunt him over and play Big West Southern California baseball? No, I'm not about that. But it's not like Frank and RB said, man, Fernando should have dropped down a bunt. It's Sungmoon Song needs to drop down a bunt, and I am not against that. I'm really not. Maybe we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll get more to your phone calls in the noon hour. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. New lunchtime hour on the Fan. We're broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, Static Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. We had Mark Neville on earlier today to talk about some big-time World Cup action. Not, they're friendlies, but we have some World Cup teams here in town. We also have two World Cup well, they're not World Cup games. They're international friendlies with World Cup teams over the weekend here at Snapdragon Stadium that you can go out and watch if you want to buy a ticket for that. You can go to snapdragonstadium.com to get your tickets for that. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I think the context of the last conversation was interesting about last night. And so if you look at last night's game, in terms of all the plays that happened, I got to go find exactly where that was. I think that was at the 7th inning, or is that the 8th inning? That was the 7th inning. 8th inning was the run into an out.
Yeah.
So in the 7th inning, after Jackson Merrill lined out, Xander Bogaerts walked, and Jase Bowen singled to put runners on first and third with one out. And Xander Bogaerts was the tying run, if I'm not mistaken. Right? They had already taken the lead at that point, 3-2. And Sungmoon Song was up. And Frank and RB mentioned, why isn't this team trying to bunt more and safety squeeze? Look, I get that conversation is going to lead to a lot of eye rolling. Frank fell out of his chair. Not Frank and RB, our Frank. Frankie Four Turns fell out of his chair over there. But I think, honestly, I am not like, there's multiple ways to try to win baseball games. There's multiple avenues to have. A lot of people think from an analytics standpoint, the, bunting, kills you in terms of big innings and everything like that. I'm not a believer in you should never do a thing. I think there is a time and place to do a lot of things in baseball. And I know Woods in the morning show just hates bunting altogether. And I know Ello, being a guy that played college baseball, and understands the value of bunting, he probably wants to bunt a little bit too much. I'm somewhere in between. Like, I don't want to see the Padres turn into the Big West, Cal State Fullerton, UC Irvine, Long Beach State. Everybody's bunting the ball all over the place. But I will say this. When you got runners on first and third, Frank, and you're 0 for 27 with runners in scoring position against the Phillies this season, and you are struggling to score runs, and you have Sungmoon Song at the plate, who has just been awful at the plate. He's been great defensively, but he's been awful at the plate. Honestly, at that point, I don't think bunting's a terrible idea. Yeah. I really don't. I understand if you let Sungmoon Song swing away, he can play for a bigger inning. Right now, you don't really have the luxury to play for a bigger inning. You don't really have a lot of those up your sleeve. That would have been, to me, a good opportunity to drop down a bunt and do a safety squeeze, if you will. I think that was a good situation to do that. Now, if it's first and third and one out and Fernando's coming up, and the way Fernando's been playing, him dropping a bunt, I'd be like, all right, this is kind of a joke. I don't know about this. I'd be on Wood's side for that. But I think the context of the situation last night, a bunt wouldn't have been the worst idea. I mean, they get that down, and it's a play at the plate, a squeeze play. Plus, you got a savvy runner in Xander Bogaerts. Is he the fastest runner on the team? No, but he's very much a savvy base runner. The game might be tied at 3 after the 7th inning if that's the case. And now all of a sudden you got, a runner on second with 2 outs. And then you have Ty France come up as a pinch hitter for Freddie Fermin in the 7th inning, and the game's tied. It might be a different situation. I think there's a time and a place for bunts. And last night, I think, is one of those opportunities that would have been a time and place for a bunt.
And thank you to Frank and Rancho Bernardo for providing that scenario, because that scenario, yes, absolutely 100% would have made sense for a bunt. It's the perfect guy to do it. try to get him at least some confidence at the plate, have him do something productive at the plate, or at least try. You could see it, but that's where the eye roll came from, was just, we need these guys to bunt more. It's like, oh, come on. And then he gives the specific scenario, and it's like, okay, you know what? Fair play. Fair on that.
I look at because the very next inning, the bottom of the 7th inning, Justin Crawford singled on a soft bunt, ground ball at first base, Gavin Sheets. I mean, I think there's a time and a place to do it, and the time and the place is when you're absolutely struggling offensively and you have the right personnel. And I thought that was the right personnel for that instance. Somebody mentioned, like, in the 7th inning, yesterday, why aren't they pinch hitting Nick Castellanos here? Why aren't they pinch hitting Nick Castellanos, for Jase Bowen at the end of the game? I think you got your answer today. Why he didn't play last night. If you're just tuning in, Nick Castellanos gets DFA'd by the Padres, and Samad Taylor will replace him on the roster. Samad Taylor's been added to the 40-man roster. So Padres play an earlier game again today. We will probably start getting some reports from the reporters in the next 30 minutes or so, because the clubhouse opens in the next 30 minutes. I'm sure Gwen and Chris will be able to have some more information for you as we get closer to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. But obviously an interesting situation that just developed today. But I will say this, I thought that was a good phone call by Frank and RB. I think there's a time and a place to drop down a bunt. And last night in the 7th inning was probably that time and that place. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to Davis in San Diego. Davis, what's going on?
What's up, Braden? I don't know where to start with this offense. It's really ugly. I've noticed a few things that probably everyone has noticed this, but I don't want to be that guy saying, like, fire the hitting coach, but the approaches and, like, the at-bats some of these guys are putting up are so ugly. And I've never seen an MLB hitter more lost at the plate than Fermin. I know he's a catcher, but when you're batting 133, I don't think a catcher excuse can come into play anymore. But I just don't know what's up with it. I don't know if the hitting coach would need to be fired or something like that. But even like Merrill, he can't hit a fastball. I don't know if anyone noticed that. Anything down the plate automatically fouled off or swung and missed. And Manny is missing literally every pitch. It's a free foul ball or a pop out on a hung slurve or change up or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty hard to watch right now.
It's a very hard thing to watch. It's very hard. I mean, you go look at the bet, and I appreciate the phone call, Davis. I mean, just you look at right now the players that qualify in Major League Baseball. So in order to qualify, was it 3.1 at-bats per game or something like that? Is that what the qualification
I do not know.
Numbers are? I'm pretty sure it is. I think it's like 3.1 plate appearances a game or something like that per game played. So those are the players that qualify for like statistics and everything like that. So if you look at the players that qualify, there are 162 players that can qualify for offensive stat categories when it comes to averages. And they do this so you can't sit there and go like, oh, Samad Taylor, who gets a single on his first at bat this season, is not the best batting average in Major League Baseball. There are 162 players in Major League Baseball that qualify for offensive statistics. You follow me so far? The league average for Major League Baseball individual batters is a 241 batting average with a 318 on base, a 392 slug, and a 711 OPS. That is a average offensive baseball player right now. If you go on Baseball Reference and sort things by batting average, you'll start seeing a lot of Padres that are below that mark. Xander Bogaerts is now 4 spots off the MLB average of a 241 average. He is hitting 239. You scroll down the list. These are just for qualifying batters. So out of qualifying hitters, Xander Bogaerts has the 104th best average in Major League Baseball. Not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Keep going down the list. Jackson Merrill is also below average. In fact, he's way below average. He's hitting 205 out of 162 qualified hitters, Frank. Jackson Merrill is 152 in batting average. Ramon Laureano right behind him at 153 with a 203 batting average. And Manny Machado is the worst offensive player when it comes to batting average in all of Major League Baseball for qualifying hitters at a 171 batting average. I mean, the way that you look at this and the way that you talk about like the hitting coach, right? And I'm not somebody that believes the hitting coach is the big reason why the offense is failing. I think a big reason for it is the fact that you're one of your highest paid player on the team, and Manny Machado is the worst offensive player in Major League Baseball, like batting average wise. Now, if that's the case, I will say this: as much as I am not a believer in blaming the hitting coach, if Manny Machado is hitting as bad as he is right now, come the All-Star break, you might need to change something. I mean, at that point, him getting like almost ruined to a point where he's hitting 171 by the All-Star break, that's something to really talk about. But Merrill's hitting 205, Laureano's hitting 203, Manny's hitting 171. All three of those players are in the bottom 150. Austin Riley is also not doing well. He's hitting 206. He's 150. I mean, this is the bottom of the list. Let's go, what is it? The bottom 12. The 12 worst batting averages in all of baseball. Austin Riley, Alec Baum, Jackson Merrill, Ramon Laureano, Matt McClain, Jacob Marcy. Everybody said like, oh, I can't believe we're trading Jacob Marcy. He's hitting 195 right now. Adolis Garcia, Nasim Nunez, Marcelo Osuna, who got DFA'd, Cedric Mullins, Dansby Swanson, Evan Carter, Manny Machado. Are you surprised to see Dansby Swanson on that list? Hey, you know what? As much as people give Xander Bogaerts a hard time, you could have paid Dansby Swanson. You want to look at OPS, qualified hitters at OPS in Major League Baseball? Yoran Alvarez is the best player in Major League Baseball OPS wise. You want to look at Padres below average, the league average? MLB average is 711 on the OPS. That's on-base percentage plus slug. Xander Bogaerts is below at a 681. Fernando Tatis Jr. is below at a 677, 122 in Major League Baseball. Ramon Laureano is below 660. So you're already at 3 Padres. Keep going down the list. Manny Machado, 151 out of 162. That's 609 OPS. That gives you 4. Jackson Merrill, 152 with a 606 OPS. You got 5 players below the league average in OPS too. And what do all those players have in common? You have, out of the 5 players, 4 of them are your core 4, Frank. All below OPS averages. It's almost impossible. This is why I believe it's like, I don't know what else to say about how bad the offense has been. I mean, you look at these OPS numbers, it's not good at all. In fact, again, these are just qualified hitters. The Padres have just one. The Padres have 1 qualified hitter that has an OPS better than league average. You know who that player is? You had a guess?
I'm sorry, one more time.
There is one Padre that is a qualified hitter, which means he's had 3.1 plate appearances a game per games played. That is above league average for OPS.
I would assume it's Fernando, especially with the way he's been hitting.
No,
lately.
OPS.
On base plus slugging, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
no.
Well, he's not hitting many doubles.
No. There's only one guy.
Is it Manny?
No.
Oh,
he's way below.
okay.
It's one guy. Got 10 home runs in the year.
Oh, Sheets.
It's Sheets. Gavin Sheets is 46th in baseball.
Sorry, Nate, I'm working. Excuse me. You want your podcast out?
All
Cut
right.
me some slack.
Luisa Rise has a higher OPS than all of the star players for the Padres who qualify. Amazing to me. You asked about the batting average or somebody one asked about the batting average for Fernando, one in the YouTube chat about where he's at now. He's got the 47th best batting average in baseball among qualified hitters. I mean, it's honestly remarkable how the core four for the Padres are so bad when it comes to league average. I mean, you want to talk about WAR? I mean, how many of these guys are below? I guess you can't really rate. There's no qualifying deals on that. But, I mean, you could look at all these numbers. OPS plus, OPS. I mean, the Padres are all near the bottom in a lot of these categories. I mean, we talk about a league average player being a 100 on an OPS plus. Padres have a lot of players below that mark and not a lot of players above that mark. And I think the only player out of qualified players for the Padres is Gavin Sheets. Yeah, and he's 50th in OPS plus because he's got a 129. So the offense is head-scratchingly bad. It really is. It's head-scratchingly bad. But at the same time, it's like, as much as people want to use that to just blame Steven Souza Jr., Frank, I mean, Gavin Sheets isn't affected by it. Ty France isn't affected by it. I mean, the role players have not really been affected by it. So what's the excuse for the four guys that are under contract for eternity for the Padres? What's their excuse?
There's not one.
They don't have one.
We're not good. That's the excuse. I am bad.
Now, there's other players that obviously have big contracts that are playing down to that level on other teams as well. Like Trey Turner's not very good when it comes to OPS. He's 144th in all of Major League Baseball out of 162. Austin Riley's got a big contract. He's not playing very well. There's a lot of the Dansby Swanson's been terrible. Marcus Semion's been terrible. Marcus Semion's 35 though. A lot of these Phillies players have been terrible. I mean, Bo Bichette is 160 at 162 for OPS. I mean, so it's not just the Padres players, but the reality is you can't have all four of your core four players below league average in almost every offensive category. It's so bad. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll talk more about that when we come back. We also want to dive into the states of the Padres offense, which is even more dire. We'll take a deeper look when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Zimmerman Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The 2026 NBA Finals are officially set. It's a classic matchup. Knicks and Spurs. San Antonio stunned the defending champion Thunder in 7 games behind Victor Wembanyama, who averaged over 27 points and nearly 11 rebounds in the Western Conference Finals. 22-year-old superstar now has the Spurs 4 wins away from another championship. Meanwhile, the Knicks have been unstoppable. New York swept both Philly and Cleveland and enters the finals riding an incredible 11-game winning streak. Jalen Brunson continues to lead the way, while Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby have turned the Knicks into one of the NBA's most complete teams. It's the first Knicks finals appearance since 1999 against the same Spurs. Could Brunson end a 53-year title drought for New York, or will Wembanyama capture his first championship and officially begin a new Spurs dynasty? Game 1 will tip off Wednesday night in San Antonio. We finally got the matchup. It's set. Knicks and Spurs. Thrilling conference finals round. 2026 NBA Finals are set as a finals rematch of 1999. Knicks are seeking their first title since 1973. Spurs seeking their 6th championship and first since 2014. Something's got to give.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll start with how we got to this point, which was Game 7 of the Western Conference Final. The Spurs beating the Thunder 111-103. The young Spurs completed one of the most impressive playoff runs in recent NBA history by knocking out the defending champion Thunder on the road. Victor Wembanyama erupted with emotion after the final buzzer, celebrating his first trip to the NBA Finals. I believe it's just his 2nd season. San Antonio became one of the youngest teams ever to reach the NBA Finals. The Spurs defeating Oklahoma City 8 times this year, including the playoffs and the regular season. And also Oklahoma City's bid for back-to-back championships coming to an end with Victor Wembanyama. Just absolutely incredible numbers throughout the series. 23.3 points per game, 10.9 rebounds, 19 total blocks, over 37.7 minutes per game. Western Conference Final MVP unanimously. Opened up the series with 41 points and 24 boards in game one. Became a clear centerpiece for San Antonio's championship aspirations, which we all kind of knew he was going to be when he got drafted.
Yeah, and the supporting cast stepped up. I mean, Stephon Castle, second year guard, continued his breakout postseason, 19.2 points per game during the playoffs, 6.7 assists per game. Primary defender on Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So, I mean, he's the guy that was covering SGA, which is a huge help for the Spurs. Dylan Harper, rookie, continued to shine. He had 24 points in game one, 18 in game six, several key rebounds and clutch baskets in game seven. De'Aaron Fox, despite battling a high ankle sprain, returned after missing games 1 and 2 and delivered a strong game 7 performance, added that veteran leadership throughout the series. And the biggest play of game 7, with Wembanyama in foul trouble late, backup center Luke Cornett delivered a crucial momentum swing, blocked an Isaiah Hartenstein transition layup, sparked a fast break, led directly to a Stephon Castle basket. Wembanyama called it the definition of a winning play. What this means for San Antonio, just 2 years ago, 22 wins, 18-game losing streak, full rebuild mode. Now, 62-win season, Wembanyama winning Defensive Player of the Year, Western Conference champions, and 4 wins away from an NBA Finals championship. The Spurs have accelerated their timeline dramatically and maybe at the beginning of a sustained championship window. But on the Eastern side, it's been the Knicks really taking it to everybody in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the Knicks winning 4-0 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. New York absolutely steamrolling Cleveland, entering the NBA Finals on an 11-game winning streak. Game one, historic comeback. Knicks beating the Cavs 115-104 in overtime. The defining moment of the series. Knicks trailed 93-71 with 7:52 remaining. Then they went on a 44-11 run the rest of the way, completed one of the largest fourth quarter playoff comebacks in NBA history, with Jalen Brunson leading the way at 38 points. Game two, Knicks took control, 109-93 win. Josh Hart, a career playoff high for him at 26 points. Brunson, 19 points and 14 assists. Karl Anthony Towns, 18 points, 13 boards. The Knicks used a devastating 18-0 third quarter run to break the game open. Game three, even more punishing, 121-118, controlled the game from start to finish. Brunson, 30 points. Mikal Bridges, 22. OG Anunoby with 21. 10 straight playoff victories. And here's how the New York Knicks were able to dominate. Jalen Brunson, team leader, clutch scorer, averaging nearly 27 points per game this postseason. Cat doing exactly what you wanted him to do after trading away Julius Randle. Floor spacing, secondary playmaker, tough matchup against bigs. Mikal Bridges, elite two-way player, shooting nearly 60%. OG Anunoby, this is the kind of guy you wanted after you traded RJ Barrett to Toronto for him. Outstanding defense and efficient scoring. Josh Hart, rebounding, energy, timely perimeter shooting. That also does not go without a little bit of stress, because the Knicks did suffer a fairly significant injury.
332-888-0973. Do want to mention that we are broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Also, a couple other news and notes for you. Tomorrow's Padres game will be at 10:05 in the morning, which means we will not have a roundtable tomorrow, and we will not have a Braden Surprenant show tomorrow. Boo, boo, hiss, boo. That was from our live studio audience, of course. They're upset about it. We'll be back on Friday, though. Yay! Boo!
Number 3.
Oh, no! little malfunction with our live studio audience. You're putting up the wrong signs up there, Frank.
My bad, trying to eat too.
So funny. I got some guy, the guy in the YouTube chat that's just like so destined to have Fernando play right field. How's that decision to move Junior to second to get in Nick's bat working out? Well, I didn't say just Nick Castellanos' bat. Gavin Sheets, Ty France, and Miguel Andujar's bat. You kind of have to do that if you want to put all three of those guys in the lineup. Somebody has to play second, and it's going to be Fernando. Now they added another outfielder, unless they move Samad Taylor to second. My question back to you is, how is the Sungmoon Song playing second working out for you? I don't need to say that, though. It hasn't been very good. I don't necessarily know if the offense was better with Fernando in right field and Song at second than it was with Fernando at second.
That's
in
what
general.
That's what I would say if I was a jerk, but
That's
I'm not.
right, but
so
I'm not. So
gonna
I wouldn't
it.
say something like that. Come on, man. You want to think this team's problem is because Fernando's playing second base, quote, out of position? He needs chance and time. They don't have time to give him a chance. Not right now. He needs time and a chance in AAA to work out his swing and to figure out how to hit at this level, or at least in the AAA level before they bring him back up to the major leagues. I mean, to me, they wouldn't be bringing up the super utility guy if Sungmoon Song was able to hit at the plate. I mean, he has struggled, but you made an investment in Sungmoon Song. He's got to get reps every single day, and I don't think the Padres can afford to have him getting reps every single day at second base right now. He might have to do that in the AAA level. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. All right, let's get to this. Some of the numbers that Kevin Acee put in his daily newsletter about the state of the Padres offense, because it is dire. Bottom of the lineup, Jase Bowen made his MLB debut. He went 1 for 4, the only hitter in the bottom 5 spots of the lineup to record a hit. He also struck out 3 times. The fact that rookie making his debut was one of the offensive bright spots says plenty, especially after watching a lot of the at-bats that Jase Bowen had yesterday. I mean, they were rough. And I hope he gets to start today and he could bounce back from it. I mean, it's his first game, it's his major league debut. You're not expecting the guy to go 3 for 4 and hit 2 home runs, but a lot of his at-bats were not very good. Offensive numbers that jump off the page, but not in a necessarily a good way. Outside of Jase Bowen, only 5 of the Padres' 12 active position players are hitting above 205. I'm going to say that again. Outside of Jase Bowen, who does not qualify, only 5 players on the Padres roster out of their 12 active players are hitting above 205. Those players are, well, not really. But if you look at the numbers here, Xander Bogaerts on the season, 239 average, below league average. Last 13 games, he's hitting 156. Miguel Andujar, who's hitting 264 in the season, is hitting 150 in his last 11 games. Sungmoon Song is hitting 154 with a 482 OPS, and Freddie Fermin's hitting 130 this season. Right now, Fernando is carrying the entire team. Over the last 8 games, he's 16 for 33, which gives him a 484 average. And every other Padre combined is 39 for 224, which is a 174 average. Only Ty France is hitting over 200 during that stretch. Think about that. Fernando, the last 8 games, hitting 484. Everybody else in the Padres is hitting 174. And out of that group, out of the 10 players, Ty France is hitting over 200 during that. He's the only guy hitting over 200 during that stretch that's not named Fernando. Tatis is producing like that MVP candidate you would think he would be, while the rest of the lineup collectively resembles I would say, kind of a AAA offense. Some dire numbers with this offense, Frank. I mean, these are even more numbers that we talked about that we didn't talk about in the last segment. But you talk about the last 8 games, not more than 2 Padres are hitting above 200 in their last 8 games, while also going 0 for 27 with runners in scoring possession. against the Phillies, honestly, you can't possibly play worse than this stretch the Padres are playing.
No, you really can. I mean, it has gotten. I don't think we need to really say anymore how bad this offense is. It is putrid, this offense. And when you have an offense as anemic as this, there's really nothing you can point to other than, well, I mean, these guys may just be having a bad year. People have bad years. A group of people have them all at once sometimes. But then you look and see where this team currently sits right now, and you're currently sitting, 5-6 games over 500. It's very, very confusing, the type of baseball you're seeing right now. So, I mean, I don't know what else to add to how bad this offense is. I really don't.
I could sit here and just say all the offensive numbers over and over and over again and how bad they are. I mean, it doesn't really matter what player you look at or what statistic you look at or what situational number it is. Every single number of this offense is bad. There's not one. There's you can count on one hand the numbers that are positive for the Padres on an offensive side. And there's really nothing you can do about it. That's the most frustrating thing. There's nothing that you can really do about it that's significant, that's going to change anything. Maybe they're the Phillies. Maybe the Padres are going through their Phillies run. I mean, the Phillies for 2 weeks only played the red hot or best team in National League Atlanta Braves, and at the time the red hot Chicago Cubs, and they got smoked for 2 straight weeks, and then they fired their manager and Rob Thompson, and then they played a bunch of bad teams and just racked up wins, and now they've gotten hot. And say what you want about the Padres and Phillies series. I mean, that's kind of what the Phillies did. So maybe the Padres are the Phillies, and maybe this upcoming schedule that looked very difficult at first is an opportunity to potentially get some wins with playing the Mets over the weekend and Cincinnati, who had lost 8 straight. And then you go and you play Baltimore, who has been very disappointing, and St. Louis, who has started to return back down to earth. And then you go into, maybe you could get the Texas Rangers. I know they've won 5 straight games, but they've got no hit this year. I mean, there's opportunities for the Padres to kind of bounce back out of this. But right now, there's not a lot you could do offensively. It's going to change anything. There's really not. And they just got to have to wait for the best. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, continue our Padres conversation, but we also need a contestant for a midday sports standoff. Give us a call, try to take me down to sports trivia, get qualified for a prize. We'll get to that when we come back.
On the
Final high school update for you of the 2026 spring season, or the 2025-2026 calendar year. And we end it with high school baseball. We've had some fun games in the championships over the weekend. And we start with the open division, where Patrick Henry was able to knock off Eastlake after beating Cathedral Catholic twice in the semifinals. Eastlake got put to 2 games as well. They were able to overcome Point Loma to get to that point. But it's the 4-seed Patrick Henry the 5-seed Patrick Henry Patriots that get the job done over Eastlake. Still a really great performance out of Patrick Henry. But overall, what a fun season it was in high school baseball. Patrick Henry is the best team right now in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great run of play as well, coming through as the number 5 seed, beating Rancho Bernardo, and then beating Cathedral in the second round, coming back through, beating Rancho Bernardo again, 8-0, and then going out and beating Cathedral Catholic once again, to get to play Eastlake in the championship final. So a very, very good run, and congratulations to Patrick Henry for winning the CIF Open Championship.
Madison wins Division I over Mount Carmel. In Division II, it was Helix over Christian over the weekend in Division III. This was a fun bracket. La Jolla tried to make a run at the longest travel you would ever need in a high school baseball tournament, having to play at Vista, having to go to Blythe, having to go back to Blythe, having to go to Ramona. They forced a final game, winner take all against the Ramona Bulldogs. Just ran out of gas. Ramona made it to the championship to play Westview, and it was the Westview Wolverines that ended up winning Division III. In Division IV, it was Francis Parker knocking off Foothills Christian. In Division V, Coastal Academy won the championship over Canyon Hills. And in Division V AA, it was Borrego Springs getting the victory over Calvin Christian. So those are the winners for the CIF baseball championship. So you'll start seeing those show up on a banner at Petco Park soon, which I think is really cool.
Yes, that's
that
awesome.
The Padres do that. They hang all the helmets up from the baseball and softball schools here in town. But final baseball poll in the Union Tribune, Patrick Henry got all first place votes as the number 1 team. Eastlake number 2, Cathedral number 3, Point Loma 4, Madison 5, San Marcos 6, Granite Hills 7, Rancho Bernardo 8, Westview 9, Helix 10. I have a vote in this. I don't understand, and here's kind of like the question of like the high school sports, and I just don't get and how anybody would vote against. At the end of the year, the best teams like make the Open, and then it works its way down.
Mm-hmm.
So like the best 8 teams are in the Open, which means if you win Division I, you're like the 9th best team at best. So when you fill out your bracket, your end of the year rankings, why would you ever rank a Division I, Division II, Division III, Division IV, whatever opponent over any of the 8 teams that made the Open? Yeah, I know you won Division I, but you weren't good enough to be in the top 8, and all of a sudden you win D1, so therefore you're better than the teams that lost in the Open. I have never understood that logic. I see it every single year at the end of the season. To me, when I fill out the top 10, you already knew the top 8 teams. It's just how they just played all each other. You don't need to know how they would do head to head. They just did it. So I don't understand that. I've never understood that. I know it's like kind of taboo to mention the fact that if you don't win the Open, like it's all ranked, right? So if you win the Open, you're the best team in the county. If you win Division I, you're not the 2nd best team in the county. You're the 9th best team in the county. And then if you win Division II, it's down the list. Like, I don't want to take away from, the kids winning a championship against teams like in their division. I think that's cool. I think it gives an opportunity to win more championships for schools that, based on enrollment would never have a chance. But it's when they start talking about like, oh, we're the 3rd best team in the county because we're Division III. No, that's not how this works.
No, it's not. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe your Division I champion, depending upon how badly they beat everyone else through the tournament, possibly getting up to number 6, maybe at the max. But that's unfortunately it's wishful thinking for sure.
Right.
It's just not how it works.
That's like anybody that, because we got the San Diego State Passing League tournament coming up, and they usually have like multiple brackets, right? They have the Open, but they have the number 1 bracket, the number 2 brackets, like double limb. But if you win the losers bracket and it doesn't go to the other side, you don't come in 2nd. You come in like however many teams made it to the winning side, you're the next best team there. So you really place like maybe 17th at best. Like you're playing for 17th place. That's why I firmly believe, and we have to change the mindset for a lot of people. I firmly believe that you should hang a banner at your school for making the Open in your sport, because to me, that's 12:39. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. They have, did you see, well, I don't know.
You read about this? You read about this?
You read about this? I always ask you things that I know that you haven't seen nor read about, which is unfair. But I do want to say, I did want to give a shout out to all the San Diego teams that are competing in the California high school baseball championships, because they're state playoffs now. which I think, is this the first year of that? I don't really know. I'm supposed to be like the high school sports expert at our station. I know nothing about this. But I do know the SoCal Baseball Championships are going on right now in California. And so this is, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this about the high school baseball, or just a baseball tournament in general. Do you think you should be able to, do you think a baseball tournament should be single elimination?
No. High school, I understand it, but no, there's too many.
In high school, you understand why you would have to, like, maybe do it in terms of, but like most CIF playoffs, like to win CIF in your section is double limit at least.
Yeah.
Okay. So I understand they wanted to add state playoffs, and in order to do that and getting it into the season, it's kind of hard to do unless it's single elimination, but like a single elimination tournament's kind of a joke, right? Are we on the same page with this? Okay. So CIF State made state championships now. They have state playoffs. And so they have 5 divisions in Northern California and 5 divisions in Southern California. And, I don't know how they did the qualifications, but, Cathedral, Eastlake, and Patrick Henry all qualified for Division 1 for the SoCal brackets, if you will. It's single elimination, which is dumb. And everybody's like, a lot of these schools have already won championships. So St. John Bosco won the Southern section at their highest level. They are ranked like one of the best teams in the country, like the 4th best team in the country. They got the number 1 seed. They played Cathedral yesterday. They lost 4-2. The 8 seed advanced, which congrats to Cathedral. The 4-5 matchup, the 5 seed advanced. La Mirada beat Liberty 7-6. The 7-2 matchup, Patrick Henry got the number 2 seed after they won San Diego Section's Open Division title. They lost 10-3 to the 7 seed Huntington Beach. Now, all these teams are obviously good, but the 7 seed advanced. Corona plays Eastlake today. You know what the famous alumni is from Corona that just it's on the Padres right now? Samad Taylor. Samad Taylor went to Corona High School. The Fighting Samad Taylors against the Eastlake Titans today at 4:00 at Corona High School. If Eastlake wins that game, that means all of the lower seeds advanced in the SoCal State playoffs in Division 1, which is ridiculous, right? Also, most of these schools have already had their graduations. You're just playing all these games after graduation. You're not going to go to the school anymore. You got to finish out the season. I know that happens in college baseball, but that's crazy to me. But Cathedral advanced. Patrick Henry failed to advance. They lost 10-3 to Huntington Beach. Patrick Henry still won the division, the Open Division Championship. It's great. This is just kind of extra. Because somebody said, like, I view the state championship more important than the regular one. I don't. I think, this is just kind of extra fun, if you will. In Division 2, Point Loma advanced. Madison did not. Point Loma, the 3 seed, beat Milliken 5-2, so they're advancing to take on Newport Harbor, who knocked off Madison 2-0. Same thing again in Division 2. The 8 seed won. In fact, Frank, out of the 5 divisions in CIF Southern California baseball, all but one division had the 8 seed beat the 1 seed. That just tells you everything you know about this tournament and the state playoffs. So Point Loma advanced. They're still alive in Division 2 right now. In Division 1, Cathedral is advanced, and they're waiting for Eastlake, who plays today. In Division 3, Mount Carmel was the 1 seed in Division 3. They lost to Kaiser. So their season is over officially. Westview got the 6th seed in Division 3 for the state playoffs. They beat Carson 7-1, so Westview advances. And the Helix Highlanders beat Laguna Beach 13-4 yesterday, so they advance in the state playoffs as well in Division 3. In Division 4, taking a look at some of the San Diego teams. Francis Parker was in Division 4. They got the 5 seed. They won 6-1 over Covina. They will play the 8 seed South El Monte, another school that defeated a 1 seed. And then that is it for the Division 4 bracket in terms of San Diego teams. And then in Division 5, the only San Diego team that was in Division 5 was Coastal Academy. They won 5-4 over Fremont. So Coastal Academy is still alive. Francis Parker still alive. Point Loma still alive. Cathedral Catholic still alive. And Helix is still alive. Westview still alive in the state playoffs. They will play again on June 4th, which is tomorrow. Most teams will. Some schools will play on June 5th due to graduations throughout Southern California. So it's a little update on SoCal baseball here in the San Diego area for high school baseball. Need a contestant for a midday sports standoff? 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. If you can call in and take me down to some sports trivia, you will be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, which is a 2-night stay at Town & Country Resort and a $250 food and beverage credit. Work on your resting vacation face this summer at Town & Country Resort. These pools and a 4-story water slide named Twister make Town & Country a family favorite. Rates start at $199 per night exclusively for fan listeners. Visit townandcountry.com/thefan to book now. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We were talking about some of the takeaways of yesterday's game. The daily newsletter was chock full of them. Obviously, the biggest problem was the offense for the Padres. The pitching staff is also no longer carrying the team. It might be a troubling development. I thought Randy Vásquez pitched well. He pitched well enough to win. The offense needs to obviously jump in. He allowed only 2 runs over 5 innings. Normally, that should be enough to win a game and give a team a chance, but instead it becomes another loss for the Pods. Padres have scored 2 runs or fewer. 2 runs or fewer in 4 of their last 5 games. Even quality pitching performances are being wasted because of the offense and their inability to support them. Bullpen is starting to show some cracks. I mean, you're not surprised. They have to pitch a lot. Jeremiah Estrada allowed the go-ahead run in a tie game. Jason Adams continues to be excellent, if you will, as a relief pitcher. Scoreless streak is now extended to 12 1/3 innings, but asking the pitching staff to be nearly perfect every night is very much unsustainable. So the key takeaways from last night's game still as we continue this conversation, the offense is no longer slumping. It is becoming a months-long problem, which I would say this, Frank, if based on we looked at the numbers to the first 59 games for 2024, 2025, and 2026. 2026 is drastically worse than 2024 and 2025, but I would say that the Padres have had months-long problems for the first 3 months of their baseball seasons, the last 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. More and just as much as this year. I honestly think this has been a trend for this team for the last handful of years.
I would agree with that. And there are points where, I mean, we talked about May being a very difficult month and this and that, but there comes a point where you've got to try to turn it around. And at least if you're playing somewhat competent looking professional style baseball, you can take a 1 or 2 run loss here or there as in the fan base. You can take it, you can stomach it. Right now, you're just looking completely uncompetitive, and you're getting back to a point where the second the game is tied or the second that you go down, it's over. There's no faith in this offense. I mean, you're still getting 5, 6, you're getting 6, 7 hits a night. You're just not stringing them together in any meaningful way. 9 hits looks great, but if that's only 1 hit an inning, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't really matter. Not at all. I think we have some time. Do we have some time?
Yeah, we got a little bit of time.
Let's get to the midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
We have, on this wonderful Sean Gallagher day, we have Neil in San Carlos. Neil, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks.
All right. So, Neil, we discussed, we had it come up a couple of weeks ago. We did the lineup for the Dragon Slayer game in 2022 against the Dodgers. We're going to be doing another lineup today in 2022. The last time, the one and only win that the Padres got in the NLCS was against the Phillies in Game 2. Who are all, because I figured the lineup would be a little bit too easy. All of the players that played, there are 4 pitchers and 10 players that played in that win against the Phillies in the 2022 NLCS.
I was at that game too.
Neil, you have the first guess. Again, 10 players, 4 pitchers.
Frank Grisham.
Trent Grisham, yes, batting 8th in center.
Okay. Well, I know Nola played in that game because he got a hit off his brother.
Austin Nola batting 9th. Neil?
Manny Machado.
Manny batting 3rd.
Austin Nola, Manny Machado. Who else played in that game? Well, Josh Hader closed it out.
Josh Hader, correct. One of the 4 pitchers gone. Neil?
Blake Snell. Blake Snell started it.
He did.
Okay, Blake Snell. So that gives us 5 of the 14.
Yes.
Brandon Drury was on that team. I'm sure he played.
Started that game at first base.
Juan Soto.
Batting 2nd.
Jerkson Profar was on that team.
Leading off.
Jake Cronenworth.
Batting 4th.
Hassan Kim was the shortstop that year.
Batting 7th. We got 2 hitters and 2 pitchers left.
Josh Bell.
DHing.
I think Nick Martinez came in relief of that game.
That he did. 2 left. Neil, if you get this one, you guarantee yourself a tie.
Robert Suarez.
Yes, Robert Suarez did come in to pitch the 8th inning. So congratulations, Neil. You're officially qualified for a chance to go to Las Vegas. Braden, you want to close it out?
Will Myers. Did he play in that game?
Came in as a pinch hitter late in that game. So you guys waltzed right through that one, as I kind of figured you would.
That was way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So there you go. Neil, I'll get your information during the break. But yes, that was the lineup and all of the players involved. Jerkson Profar, Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, Brandon Drury was the starting first baseman. Will Myers came in later. Josh Bell, Ha-Sung Kim, Trent Grisham, Austin Nola, Blake Snell, your starter, Martinez, Suarez, Hader, all in relief.
How about that?
How about that?
Should we pull up what the Padres did in 2022 up until this point? I don't remember that season as well as the 2024 one, which was a lot of the same key takeaways. I mean, the core is still relatively the same. I just feel like at this point in time, and I've mentioned this before, around like May and June, I feel like all of these shows we could just repurpose for the next year. And then instead of saying like, we could just record the Big Four's names. And instead of like last year talking about Xander Bogaerts being awful, we could just go, we had Manny Machado.
For God's sakes, how much longer can we have Manny Machado batting at 2?
How much? Yeah, this is getting ridiculous.
It's getting ridiculous. I don't know how much longer we can sit here and watch Xander Bogaerts.
Jerkson Profar.
Hitting leadoff.
Jackson Merrill. Unbelievable. When we come back, Gavin Sheets has had a great year for the Padres so far. There's a lot of other reasons why he has had such a great year. We'll talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour. College football playoff announces their college football playoff schedule and preview of tonight's game. Walker Buehler, Christopher Sanchez. All coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. right, I'm getting into a rabbit hole of like I'm getting into a rabbit hole of the first 59 games offensive numbers.
Yeah, you guys are going to learn the offensive numbers for the first 59 games for the 74 team tomorrow.
You know what I might have to start doing is the first 59 games offensive numbers for World Series champions. See if it works.
Braden's good at drawing, guys.
I honestly, you know what I'm curious about?
He's good at drawing sports stuff.
You know what I'm curious about? What about remember the Nationals that like started the season so poor in 2019 and they won the World Series? I wonder what their offensive numbers were.
What flavor of crayon's your favorite?
That's not this level that you're talking about. I'm trying to prove a point here.
I like the apple one.
Do you think I'm just doing this out of fun, or just doing this to prove a point? I'm doing this to prove a point.
Doing it both.
Maybe I should have been a lawyer. Padres in 2022, first 59 games of the season, a 237 batting average and 678 OPS. 2026, a 218 average and a 655 OPS. That team was 37-22 in their first 59 games. Remarkable. That season, they finished, the team that went to the NLCS, that team finished with 89 wins. It's a long season. That's basically the point of this conversation. Pitching staff-wise, things have been, their pitching staff in 2022 was actually better than the one that we have right now in 2026 across the board when it comes to statistics, which is interesting. This Padres, the thing is that's really hurting this Padres team too, as we continue our conversation on this, is the fact that this Padres team on offense is striking out a lot more than the previous four teams through 59 games. And this Padres team so far have walked more batters than every one of the previous pitching staffs before them in the last 4 years. I find that to be interesting. Almost like you have to win the free pass and punch out game as part of the equation. The battle of 90 feet. Padres are failing to do that right now. But anyway, interesting numbers nonetheless. We talked about like the biggest trade takeaways from the game yesterday. That was written with Kevin Acey's article. Offense is no longer slumping. This is a couple of months now where they have not been good. Fernando Tatis Jr. has been carrying the lineup in the last 8 games. Manny Machado's numbers are starting to become alarming. Gavin Sheets has become indispensable. And we're going to talk about Gavin here in a second. And, you know, the worry, of course, is the trade deadline may arrive too late. Now, I did see a tweet earlier before Juan Ruiz mentioned it in the YouTube chat. I did see this. I sent it to Adam. I would try to pull the audio for it. But in the tweet, Buster Only, who was on with Just Baseball, the Just Baseball podcast, mentioned on the podcast, quote, I think San Diego, in terms of like landing Tarek Skubal, what the Padres are communicating to other teams is we're going to be aggressive at the deadline. They have new ownership this week. They've got money to spend. I find that to be interesting. We're going to play that clip and the full clip for the context in the next segment, if we can find it. But I think that's interesting to the point of, is the trade deadline arriving too late for this ball club? A moot point when, in fact, they might have money to spend. It's an interesting topic of conversation. I don't know how much money that is to potentially buy their way out of maybe some problems that they have and some underlying issues that the Padres have. But right now, a lot of the key takeaways from yesterday's game are kind of the key takeaways for the last handful of games that we have seen. Gavin Sheets. Let's talk about Gavin Sheets for a little bit. Gavin Sheets has been a massive pickup for the San Diego Padres. In fact, one of the best pickups the Padres have had during the A.J. Preller tenure. I mean, he's been so awesome that it's fun to go back to that one White Sox fan that said good luck on social media about how bad Gavin Sheets was in Chicago. I mean, this is a guy that got DFA'd from the Chicago White Sox after they had the worst year in Major League Baseball history, or one of the worst years in Major League Baseball history. He has been existential to this Padres team. He's got 10 home runs now on the season, which is a tied for the team high. He has been more than you would ask for in a guy that you picked up off the scrap heap. And he does things in a lot of different ways inside the clubhouse than you would expect. And I think the other thing about this is, you know, and there was a great article about it in the Union Tribune late yesterday, written by Kevin Acee, about Gavin Sheets and what he has done and what he has, you know, been able to do from multiple different standpoints for this team. And when it starts with, you know, it's not just about the production, but it's about him as like a play, as a teammate, him as a person. While the Padres continue to battle through one of the weakest offenses in baseball, one player has quietly emerged as one of the most important figures in this organization. It's Gavin Sheets. And in the article, they call him a connector. And the clubhouse believes Gavin Sheets is very important. And at the beginning of this article, if you haven't read it yet, go into the Union Tribune and you can go to the online, and I encourage you to read it. But, you know, they open up, Kevin Acee opens up with a story about Xander Bogaerts, and he typically follows a strict post-game routine centered around recovery and treatment. But instead, after a recent game, he joined a group of teammates sitting together in the clubhouse discussing the team's struggles, offensive issues, ways to improve, team morale. The conversation lasted hours after most players in the media had left, and the reason Bogaerts joined in is because Gavin Sheets invited him to stay. Bogaerts joked it was the first post-game beer with teammates, and it wouldn't be his last. That moment illustrates something bigger happening inside this clubhouse. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this when the team is struggling, but I have sensed and I have seen this is the tightest this group has been, at least in my time as being part of this particular radio station. When I started working here at 97 through the Fan, and honestly, before the Fan became the Fan, I got here in 2017 when the Padres were airing games on 94.9 at our sister station. And I remember hearing the stories from a lot of the guys we have had and guys and gals that have worked for us, that have covered this team for many more years than I have, and talked about the old days where you would go into the clubhouse and, you know, at the end of the game, and guys would sit there and, you know, shoot the S and, you know, crack a beer open and have a good, you know, just enjoy each other's company. And that was something that was missing on these teams from 2017, you know, through most of like 2021, 2022. And it was something that, you know, I remember hearing all the time about how it was, you know, going into the clubhouse was a lot different back then in like the late 90s and early 2000s. And, you know, and I don't think they need to have this type of relationship with media members, but they would have guys that would sit there in the clubhouse and just talk ball for hours after games with, you know, they'd be friends with the media and all that other stuff. It was just a different time. But what Gavin Sheets is doing, I mean, that story about Xander Bogaerts and staying and them talking for hours after the game, and, you know, it's a warm and fuzzy story. And I think a lot of people might be rolling their eyes in the sense of the fact that they're not playing well and who cares? We care about results here. I think it's like finally starting to turn into a clubhouse that is a clubhouse that is one that expects to win and one that is doing the right things. And having a guy like Gavin Sheets in the clubhouse, I think it's great. They talked to Dave Macias in this article, and according to first base coach Dave Macias, Says Sheets has a unique ability to bridge every demographic and personality group on the roster. He connects with veterans, young players, American-born players, Latin American players, position players, pitchers, coaches. And Macias describes him as the classic college guy who can relate to everyone. The significance of that role cannot be overstated on a team with multiple languages, multiple cultures, multiple generations, several star players, several role players fighting for jobs. And those teams can fracture very quickly when losing starts to pile up, and Gavin Sheets has been able to prevent that. And I think it matters more than ever, and Kevin Acee alludes to this, and I agree with this. The Padres have been able to stay relevant in the standings despite fielding one of baseball's least productive offenses. And the concern internally isn't just scoring runs. It's obviously making sure the clubhouse remains unified with the offensive struggles. And the article by Kevin Acee argues that if the Padres ultimately make the postseason, it won't only be because of Fernando improving and Jackson improving and Manny improving and AJ Preller acquiring talent, but it will be because the team avoided turning inward when things got difficult. And Frank, I think that's the mental side of this, and I think that's half the battle. And a guy like Gavin Sheets being able to provide that, he is contributing to this team a lot more than just hitting the ball over the fence. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And it's cool to see. Now, from Craig Stammen's perspective, he offered one of the strongest endorsements when Stammen became manager. He checked in with players throughout the offseason, and he asked a simple question, which teammate have you talked to? Sheets' answer said, essentially everybody. Stammen believes that Gavin Sheets understands something many players miss, and that's baseball isn't solely about winning and losing. It's about relationships. It's about trust. It's about accountability, and it's about creating a sustainable culture. The implication is clear with this one, though. Sheets is helping maintain the team's emotional infrastructure. And the team is trying to solve problems together. There's not a lot of blame going around. They're struggling together. And when hitters struggle, they tend to retreat inward, focus on personal mechanics, obsess over individual numbers. Sheets is trying to create the opposite environment. And his philosophy is, let's struggle together. Instead of 12 hitters searching for 12 different solutions, he wants the group sharing information and experiences collectively. Key themes from his comments: stay connected, avoid isolation, communicate openly, work through slumps as a team. That is the leadership approach typically associated with veteran stars. Instead, it's coming from a player who entered the season without guaranteed everyday role, which I think is important. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. All of that information, I think, is an important step for this team to be able to get out of their slumps. I'll explain when we come back.
See website for details. BillsHappen.com is not a lender. It does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, everything is so expensive, and our bills are piling up.
You're telling me credit cards are maxed out?
This week in motorsports belonged to the veterans at Nashville. It was Denny Hamlin who overcame an early penalty after jumping the start, dove back through the field, and led a Joe Gibbs Racing sweep of the podium for his 62nd career NASCAR Cup Series victory. In the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Justin Allgaier held off teenage sensation Brent Cruz in one of the best battles of the season, earning his fourth win of 2026 and continuing his championship defense. The Truck Series delivered late race drama, while Lane Riggs completed a stunning comeback and made a last lap pass to grab the Nashville Guitar Trophy and the series points lead. And in IndyCar, Alex Palou kept building his legacy. A four-time champion, won again in Detroit, his fourth victory in 8 races, extending his championship lead and putting himself on track for a record time 4th straight title. The big question, can someone stop Alex Palou before this season turns into one of the most dominant championship runs we've ever seen? This week was packed with drama across NASCAR and IndyCar, from a dominant night for Joe Gibbs Racing in Nashville to another masterclass from IndyCar champion leader Alex Palou in Detroit. We also saw emotional victories, hard racing, late race strategy gambles, and some major championship implications as the summer racing season starts heating up. We'll start in NASCAR, the Cup Series. Hamlin overcomes early penalty for Nashville victory.
Yeah, one of the biggest stories from Nashville Superspeedway was veteran driver Denny Hamlin turning adversity into victory. Hamlin started from the pole, but immediately put himself behind the 8 ball by jumping the start in one of the most egregious jump starts I have personally ever seen, serving a pass-through penalty. Instead of letting his mistake ruin his night, the Joe Gibbs veteran methodically worked his way back through the field and capitalized on a late restart to score his second win of the season and 62nd of his Hall of Fame career. Even more impressive was the fact that Joe Gibbs Racing swept the podium with Christopher Bell finishing second and Chase Briscoe finishing third, all three of them diving into turn one on the final lap, 3 wide. Pretty insane to see. The race itself was chaotic. Brake failures plagued multiple drivers throughout the evening, including A.J. Allmendinger, Ross Chastain, and rookie Connor Zilisch. Late race cautions repeatedly shuffled the field and created a frantic finish. One of the biggest flashpoints came when Brad Keselowski was spun into the wall after contact with Austin Dillon, leading to the RFK Racing camp, questioning whether or not the move was intentional based off of an earlier wreck involved. It's a checkered flag flew. Hamlin emerged on top, proving once again why he remains one of NASCAR's most dangerous veterans, and now finds himself one win off tying Kyle Busch's career high.
NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Algier holds off a rising star. Saturday night's O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race delivered one of the best battles of the season. Defending series champion Justin Allgaier earned his 4th victory of 2026, but it wasn't easy. Veteran had to fend off 18-year-old rookie sensation Brent Cruz in a thrilling side-by-side duel during the closing laps. Cruz led a career-high 45 laps and looked poised to earn a breakthrough victory before Allgaier's experience finally prevailed. The win carried extra emotion. During his celebration, Allgaier paid tribute to late NASCAR champion Kyle Busch by recreating Busch's signature Nashville victory celebration. Meanwhile, Cruz continues to establish himself as one of the brightest young talents in stock car racing. Even in defeat, his performance may have been one of the most impressive stories of the weekend. Let's get to the Truck Series.
Yep, the Craftsman Truck Series produced perhaps the most emotional finish of the weekend, with Lane Riggs dominating the early stages and then had to claw his way back through the field after varying pit strategies shuffled the running order. On the final lap, Riggs used fresher tires and a crucial push from teammate Chandler Smith to pass defending Nashville winner Rajah Caruth and secure his 3rd win of the season. The victory also moved Riggs into the Craftsman Truck Series championship lead. Caruth's runner-up finish was emotional as well, as he was driving the truck originally intended for Kyle Busch to drive this weekend, and many fans were hoping to see that truck return to victory lane as a tribute to the late champion. Instead, Riggs delivered a dramatic comeback and one of the season's most memorable victories.
Let's get to IndyCar, where they continue the championship, where Pelot continues the championship domination. Over in Detroit, they finally started to stop racing in Indianapolis for the last 3 weeks. But over in Detroit, one storyline continues to define the 2026 IndyCar season, the dominance of Alex Pelot. First-time series champion, captured his 4th victory in just 8 races this season, surviving a caution-filled street race and several strategic challenges to win the Detroit Grand Prix. Pelot led 71 of 100 laps and once again demonstrated why. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, Static Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Interesting comments made by Buster Olney earlier today on a Just Baseball podcast, and we're going to get to that in just a second. Involves the San Diego Padres and what could be in store for them at the trade deadline. Now, that being said, I did go to break talking about Gavin Sheets, and somebody asked in the YouTube chat what they're saying about Sheets is awesome, but isn't that supposed to be Manny, the clubhouse leader? You don't have to be the best player on the team. You don't have to be the highest paid player on the team. You don't have to be an everyday starter to be a leader. And that's at any level of any sport. And that's at any level in any form of life. You don't have to be that person. You have to be the person that takes responsibility for results and helps find solutions. And if Gavin Sheets is stepping up to be that person, I think that's great news. And on top of the fact that, he has contributed nicely on the field and he is contributing even better off the field. The interesting part about this article that was written yesterday was Nick Castellanos validated the importance of clubhouse chemistry. Nick Castellanos obviously got DFA'd earlier today. I think the timing was a little bit surprising, not totally shocking. But Nick Castellanos echoed Sheets' philosophy. His assessment, every successful team he's played on had strong clubhouse bonds. I think this is the strongest clubhouse bond this team has had in a long time. And that's important because baseball often minimizes chemistry discussions. Yet veteran players repeatedly emphasize how critical those relationships become during 6-month seasons. The Phillies have experienced recent postseason success. Nick Castellanos was part of those teams, and he sees similarities in what Sheets is trying to build here in San Diego. The other reason why this story matters is Sheets is actually producing too. I mean, being a clubhouse leader is nice. Being a clubhouse leader while also hitting the ball over the fence and leading the team in home runs is something else entirely. The San Diego Padres' most impactful player might have been Gavin Sheets. It might be Gavin Sheets. Not just one of them, but the most impactful. He's got the team leading OPS at 807 OPS, another home run last night. It's best on the team. Close in late situations. He's hitting 353 of the 1362 OPS, which is elite production when the games matter most. He has had historic ninth inning power, three run homers in the ninth inning this season. No player in MLB history has ever done that before. He has had lead-changing home runs, 9 home runs total going into last night. In fact, now you could say 10, and now 8 of them have given the Padres the lead. That statistic may be the most telling out of this entire article. Sheets isn't accumulating empty numbers. He's delivering game-changing swings, and he is going from a platoon player to an everyday necessity. I mean, coming into the season, Gavin Sheets was a platoon first baseman and a part-time contributor. Ty France eventually earned more first base opportunities because he's the better defensive player and he's hitting 286. And at that point, Sheets could have faded into reserve role. Instead, he hit his way back into the lineup again. Just like he did in 2025 after losing playing time following Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn's arrival. The pattern has become clear. Every time Sheets gets squeezed, he responds with production. His defensive flexibility has been very critical. He willingly plays wherever he is needed. Over the last 21 games, he has 9 starts at first, 9 starts in left, and 2 starts as the DH, which that flexibility allows Craig Stammen to keep Francis' bat in the lineup. It helps keep Sheets' bat in the lineup, and it maximizes offensive options for a team that is struggling offensively. So that versatility has become an incredible value. Now, what this says about the Padres? Well, it's a positive reality. They have a player helping preserve clubhouse culture during adversity. Not every struggling team has that. Some implode, and the Padres, even though it's been close, they haven't really done that yet. The concerning reality is the team's most indispensable offensive player may be Gavin Sheets, and it's not Manny Machado or Xander Bogaerts or Fernando Tatis or Jackson Merrill. It's Gavin Sheets, which wasn't the offensive plan, and it wasn't the payroll plan. It wasn't the roster building plan, yet that's where the Padres find themselves. So out of everything I've said, Frank, about Gavin Sheets and about the clubhouse culture that he has brought on top of the fact that his offensive numbers have been pretty good too. I mean, this is not just a feel-good story, right? But I think this is a big reason why the Padres were able to win a lot of games so far this year, despite their offense being so bad. And I think this is a huge factor moving forward on can this team survive this stretch of adversity and be able to flip it instead of letting this thing spiral out of control.
I mean, even a 2-run homer last night, too, really helped as far as like build up hope and momentum and potential. Up 2-0 in the 4th inning. You're about halfway through the game. That's a good moment to hit, especially now we're seeing the top of the order start to produce in a way that we had never seen it, or that we hadn't seen it produce this season. But for the role that Gavin Sheets is playing as this kind of glue guy, that's huge. Every organization, every clubhouse needs a glue guy And for a guy like Nick Castellanos, who has been in championship clubhouses, to say that this is the closest thing I've felt to that in quite some time, that is an unbelievably good sign for the clubhouses. It's a very tight-knit group. Now the joy that you're feeling in the clubhouse now needs to be moved out to the field.
Is Gavin Sheets actually the Padres team MVP right now?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, forget the payroll, forget the star power. If you removed one player from this roster today, would the Padres survive losing Sheets more than Machado, Bogarts, Merrill, or even Tatis? I honestly, based on this conversation then that we have had in the article by Kevin Acee, if you would take Gavin Sheets off this team, who knows? I mean, this team would maybe spiral out of control based on the article by Kevin Acee about how much he is keeping things together from an offensive standpoint in the clubhouse.
I would say, and Adam does bring up a good point, Mason Miller, but I would say it's on offense at the very least. It's either Gavin Sheets or Miguel Andujar, one of the two. Gavin has had more of the impactful hits for sure, but Andujar has been that steady offensive performer all season that this team just has not had.
But I'm talking about overall you have to factor this information in there as well. I mean, he's kind of the glue guy now for this team.
Yeah.
I mean, losing a glue guy,
that's hard.
Hurts almost as much as if you lost somebody that had an incredible production on the field. I mean, this is a sport that's built on failure and being mentally tough. And so I think the clubhouse chemistry and that, I think that matters more in baseball than it does in any sport. I honestly think it does. I think in baseball specifically, the team chemistry matters a lot more than in the other sports, in professional sports. So it's great that Gavin Sheets is doing this. And again, you don't have to be the best player. You don't have to be the highest paid player to be the guy that leads a team. And right now, it seems like Gavin Sheets is taking the reins as the leader of this team, which is great. And he's producing on top of that. And I mean, how many times, Frank, have we seen this Padres team, or should I say, Gavin Sheets, lose out on some playing time and hit his way back in the lineup? I mean, this is now the second time he has done that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because remember, he had an awful start to this season. We were talking about how much longer does he have as an everyday starter. And now he's back, and he's in a position where you can't really play without him at this point.
When we come back, we'll hear what Buster Olney had to say. We will also about what the Padres could potentially do at the trade deadline. We will also get you a preview of tonight's game, and looking forward to the rest of the series. We will be off tomorrow and back on Friday because the Padres play at 10:05 in the morning tomorrow. So we got a lot to cover still in the last segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. We are 63 days away from the MLB trade deadline, and the market is already taking shape, and it might be a problem. Right now, one name is dominating early conversations, Tarik Skubal. If Detroit falls out of contention, it becomes the biggest rental arm on the market, but he's not cheap, and he's not simple. Here's the issue. Too many teams are stuck in the middle. Boston is close to a wild card spot, but struggling. Baltimore, inconsistent, but still alive. Across the American League, there are way more maybe buyers than actual sellers, which creates a dangerous deadline dynamic. Lots of teams wanting to buy, not enough impact players available. So the real question is this: do we get a blockbuster deadline or a quiet one where everyone waits too long and prices never match reality? Major League Baseball season is starting to tilt into the midsummer pressure point where contenders separate from pretenders and front offices begin quietly laying the groundwork for July's trade deadline. We're still 63 days out from August 3rd, but around the league, the conversations are already heating up. And right now, this deadline is shaping up to be less about chaos and more about uncertainty.
Yeah, right now it's all circulating around Tarik Skubal and what the Detroit Tigers plan on doing with him. The biggest storyline forming so far is Tarik Skubal. At the start of the year, Detroit looked like a rising contender, but injuries, inconsistency, and a slide in the standings have shifted the conversation. Now Skubal, who's eligible for free agency after this season, sits at the center of speculation. And what makes the situation even more complex is value. He's not just an ace, he's a short-term rental with elite upside, and that means contenders won't be bidding prospects, or won't just be bidding prospects, they'll be paying salary too, roughly $11 million for the final stretch of the season. If Skubal is healthy and dominant when he returns, he instantly becomes the type of arm that can swing October. But if Detroit stays out of contention, the question becomes unavoidable. Do they hold him for a qualifying offer return or cash in a massive deadline haul?
Parity is creating this dealer's market problem across the American League specifically, and especially the middle is crowded. Teams like Boston and Baltimore aren't clearly buyers or sellers. They're stuck in that uncomfortable zone where they're close enough to justify staying aggressive, but inconsistent enough to justify selling. Boston, for example, has struggled offensively for weeks, yet is still within reach of a wild card spot. Baltimore has underperformed on the mound, but remains in striking distance. And that's the key issue league-wide. There's too many teams that believe they can stay, still can get in. That means fewer true sellers, and that creates a classic deadline squeeze. Lots of buyers, not enough impact players available, and front offices are already warning this could be a thin market unless more teams collapse in the next month.
Yeah, and also you have aggressive general managers waiting to strike on these moves. Even in a cautious market, there are always a few teams willing to push buttons. Keep an eye on organizations like Philadelphia, Seattle, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and San Diego Padres, clubs with a history of aggressive midseason swings. We've seen this before. Blockbuster bullpen moves, star rentals, and prospect-heavy deals that reshape the playoff race overnight. And if this market stays thin, that aggression becomes even more valuable. The teams willing to overpay might be ones that separate themselves come October.
Could we see surprise sellers? One of the more fascinating questions is whether underperforming contenders decide to pivot early. Houston is the most intriguing example. A slow start has raised internal questions about whether a reset is possible, though ownership has historically resisted full teardown moves. But if teams like Houston ever decided to listen on core pieces, the market would explode instantly. And that's the hidden tension here. A few unexpected sellers could completely flip a market that currently feels shallow.
Yeah, and ownership will be deciding who actually buys or sells. At this point in the season, it's not just baseball ops, it's ownership philosophy. We've seen it before. One owner pushes to keep a star, another green lights a tear down, and the entire market shifts. Teams like Tampa Bay, San Diego, and Minnesota all sit in interesting positions. Some are contenders with flexibility. Others have valuable veterans who could bring major returns if made available. And in Minnesota's case specifically, players like Joe Ryan and others could reshape the market if ownership, not necessarily the front office, decide to listen. This is where strategy meets economics and where deadlines truly are won and lost.
Yeah, 2027 labor cloud is quietly influencing decisions too. There's a long-term factor creeping into front office planning the upcoming collective bargaining situation. With uncertainty around the next CBA, some teams may start thinking more conservatively, protecting payroll flexibility in case of disruption or structural changes to the league's economic system. That kind of thinking doesn't always show up immediately, but it can absolutely impact deadline willingness. In short, though, some teams may choose caution now so they're not trapped later. I still think it will be a fun trade deadline as we approach it. Done with a couple of months. We start June this week. We'll see what the Padres do, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on in Major League Baseball. $134. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Before we continue, really quick, this was handed down to me a little bit late today, but we'd like to remind all of you that the Xander Bogaerts bobblehead giveaway presented by Palomar Specialty Insurance is coming Tuesday, June 9th at 6:40 when the Padres take on the Cincinnati Reds. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive this Bogey Goes Boom bobblehead presented by Palomar Specialty Insurance. Repping the Padres military Sunday uniform, Xander Bogaerts is featured with his signature home run swing. For more information, visit padres.com/giveaways.
June 9th. Is that Tuesday, right?
Yes. Tuesday, June 9th.
Tuesday, June 9th against the Reds. Padres hopefully get a win in Philadelphia the next 2 days. It's going to be tough with the pitching matchup that they have to deal with for struggling offense. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. But Buster Olney earlier today was on a podcast, Just Baseball podcast. And he had some interesting things to say about the Tarek Skubal conversation, but more importantly, what's going on with the Padres at the trade deadline. It's about 2 minutes, but it's some interesting comments that we're going to discuss here in a second. So here's Buster Olney on the Just Baseball podcast.
Is there a pressing need, knowing that Blake Snell is going to come back at some point? Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto, Ohtani, Robleski has been terrific. Is there a pressing need there? No. I don't think so. Toronto, after reaching Game 7 of the World Series last year, after spending the money on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., is there big pressure on them to go deep into this postseason this year? I don't feel that. I think San Diego. What the Padres are communicating to other teams is we are going to be aggressive at the deadline. They have new ownership approved this week. They've got money to spend. They don't have the range of prospects that some of the other organizations do, but we saw last year when the Padres traded for Mason Miller, A.J. Preller is one of those general managers not afraid of risk. He's not worried about the back end of it, right? He's like, this is why I want to make the trade for our team right now, and the Padres' clear need is for a starting pitcher.
Do you think the Padres even need to communicate to any teams at this point that they plan to be aggressive? They should just let them know when they're not going to be at this point.
That's a good way. And AJ, he is definitely. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? At the trade deadline, who are the famous line from Theo Epstein when he traded for Aroldis Chapman in 2016. We got him to win the World Series. In this era, there are not a lot of general managers who think that way. Dave Dombrowski clearly does. A.J. Preller clearly does. I think Jerry Dipoto thinks that way, the head of baseball ops for the Mariners. Alex Anthopoulos, I could see being aggressive, with a really good Braves team. He was aggressive before the trade deadline when they won the World Series back in 21. But not a lot of GMs think that way.
There's a lot of things part of that position that was interesting. The one, of course, this whole context was about Tarek Skubal, of course.
Yes.
Who do you think has an opportunity to go to get Tarek Skubal? And, Buster throws cold water on a lot of teams and then goes, I think San Diego. Now, that's one thing, right? I mean, that's like the whole trade for Tarek Skubal is one thing. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But the interesting thing was they have new ownership. It's about to, whatever. It's going to go through because they have the owners meetings this week or coming up or whatever. And he said they have money to spend and they're telling teams that they're going to be aggressive at the deadline. I find that to be fascinating for this team. And I think that's the wild card going into the trade deadline is you have A.J. Preller. You have a team that is talented, but of course underperforming in certain areas. They have a loaded bullpen. And you have an A.J. Preller that might have a bigger budget than what he initially had maybe going into the season or what he had the last couple of years. We have seen what he has done with the budget so far. With a small budget, we've seen what he's done when he has a large budget. And I think the wild card of this trade deadline is the new ownership and how much they're willing to spend and how much of a big splash they want to make. Now, we'll talk about the whole position player versus pitching situation, but Frank, there's a lot of interesting things that Buster only said in that 2 minutes.
And that coming right after he said that the Tigers are actively saying, no, we're not trading Tarek Skubal. So the Tigers, at least for the moment, have taken him off the table. But yeah, that is very, very interesting that he feels so confident that he would come to say that A.J. Preller would be able to bring him to San Diego, because he is right. The Dodgers have a lot of guys. They have a lot of starting pitching help. They have a lot of starting pitchers that are on the IL. So do the Padres, but a couple of guys that you're not expecting to come back anytime soon. Toronto spent so much money this offseason. I know we're only talking about roughly $11 million with Tarek Skubal for the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, if this new ownership is willing to approve money to be spent, say, yeah, go after. We'll foot the bill for this one. If they want to make a splash, if they want to get the fans on their side, getting a name and the quality of Tarek Skubal would definitely do it.
Somebody goes like, new ownership and money means nothing at the deadline. It means everything at the deadline.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nonsensical comment right there to think it's like only about the minor leaguers that you might trade away. I mean, you have to agree to take payroll on. You have to agree to potentially pay payroll to ship somebody off. I mean, it's all about money and new ownership at the deadline. Anytime that there is a trade deadline, anytime that there is, free agent signing, whatever it may be, anything that involves transactions, yeah, money is important. And so is the people that are in charge of the money and the ones that own the team. That is all very much important here, which I find interesting to this conversation. And again, like, I understand that Tarek Skubal's the number one option potentially on the trade deadline, and the Detroit Tigers are struggling. And I don't know, like, as much as we have seen the reports from Kevin Acee about the Padres, like today's newsletter was like the Padres, better figure it out or the trade deadline might come too late. The Detroit Tigers up until yesterday, really 2 days ago, but the Detroit Tigers on Monday entered this week with the worst record in all of baseball. And we're going to be like, oh, they're going to magically climb their way out of this hole. I know they have a lot of injuries, but let's be real here. I know they're 6 games out of a wild card because the American League stinks, but I don't necessarily know that Detroit Tigers team as constructed right now is enough to win a World Series. So I think a lot of they're telling people that he's not available is like Augie in the YouTube chat said. I think they're trying to run the asking price up. I mean, they're playing the game too. They understand. They can't just be here like, we're all ears to Tarek Skubal. It's a game. You got to play the game. But I look at the situation with like the pitching and people go like, well, what is that going to do? You need to have batters. I keep saying it. I will keep saying it. A lot of the problems that the Padres have are not fixable at the deadline when it comes to a bat. Because there's not going to be anybody available at the trade deadline who is going to drastically improve where you're at offensively in a position that, needs to be filled. I mean, most of the guys struggling are everyday stars. Now, you're starting to see the regression back to the mean for, some players that are role players, but unless you trade for like another catcher, I don't necessarily know who you're going to trade for offensively that fits into the conversation. I mean, go through the starting line. Like today's starting lineup might be a little bit different because you have some injuries right now. But if you were to trade for a player that was a batter, Frank, is he going to play over Fernando?
Unless you move Fernando to second, no.
But even then, he's not playing over Fernando. Fernando's playing every day. And Fernando's actually your best hitter right now. So that's not the case. Is he playing instead of Manny? Like I'm talking about, like one of these guys goes to the bench and he's replaced by these guys. Like, these are guys that are struggling. Is he playing instead of Manny? No, he's not playing over Manny. I don't care how bad Manny Machado is. They're not going to trade for somebody to have him play over Manny Machado. Is he playing over Xander Bogaerts? No.
Trade for Christian Walker and put Ty France, who's been one of your hottest hitters, on the bench?
No. Is he playing for Ty France? He ain't playing for Ty France. They playing for
Christian
Walker.
Walker.
Well, let's get to Ty France in a second. Is he playing for Jackson Merrill if you acquired a new bat? No. Is he playing for Ramon Laureano? I mean, as much as Ramon Laureano hasn't been that good in the last couple of weeks, that might be the only spot that you find. You're not playing over Gavin Sheets. That's actually one of your better hitters. Not playing over Ty France. He's one of your better hitters. So you're going to play over Miguel Andujar? I guess you could get a slight upgrade, but you still have the black holes in your lineup that you have currently if you don't adjust who your starters are. And before anybody says that, like, oh, they need to, like, trade away one of these core players, they have no trade clauses. They're not leaving. And if they're not good and not good enough for your own team, nobody's going to take them, on top of the fact that they have a no trade clause. How did that work out for the Padres with Eric Hosmer, Frank?
Not good.
Not good at all. It blew up one of the trades. They had to, like, force it to happen. They finally got him up. They finally got him out of there to sign off on a trade, and they had to pay him $12 million for the next 3 seasons or 4 seasons, whatever it was. You're going to do that for some of these contracts?
He was a part of the Soto trade initially.
Correct.
He didn't want to go to Washington.
No, so they had to trade Luke Voit instead.
Yep.
Guys with no trade clauses that get traded every day play well. And they go, okay, I will go to a contender. Guys with no trade clauses on decent teams are usually not going to other teams unless that team is better than the team that they are being traded from. The ones that waive their no trade clause are on bad teams that go to teams in contention. I mean, come on, man. Why would Manny willingly say, like, yeah, I'm going to go somewhere else? And if he does, why in the world would anybody pay for his contract?
Yeah, he's getting $25 million this year. Next year, that bumps up to $39 million, in which he'll be getting until 2033. Fernando's getting paid $20 million. Next year goes up to 25, 29. It goes up to $36.7 million. And then for Jackson Merrill, he's getting $2 million this year, 7 next, 9, 11, and then 21 on a ridiculously friendly team contract until 2035. Xander Bogaerts, because I forgot to get him before I open my big mouth. Xander Bogaerts.
He's getting 25 a year
for the
remainder of time.
He's getting 25.
His is the same across the board.
He's getting $25.4 million until he's 40 in 2033.
Correct.
What team do you think is going to take that contract, is going to take those contracts on?
Nobody. And again, somebody was like, Rafael Devers had a no trade. No, he did not. He did not have a no trade clause.
Boston tried too long to make it work after they annoyed one of their stars.
He did not have a no trade clause because he didn't have any protection, and he was also not a 10-5 player yet, which a lot of these guys are anyway. So he didn't have any say in the matter. Do you think Rafael Devers wanted to get traded as much as he probably was kind of tired with their antics in Boston? I don't think he wanted to get up and move. That's why all these players put these no trade clauses in. It's not going to happen. So let's say you decided to add all this extra payroll with Yordan Alvarez, who is making some good money, right? That's another big one. Everybody wants to throw out Yordan Alvarez as a potential savior of the Padres, and he's putting up some really good numbers. But that goes back to the whole, like, adding payroll thing. And if you add Yordan Alvarez to this roster, let's just say you do that, okay? Let's just assume the fact that you outbid everybody else that might be looking for a bat at the deadline, and you can outdo everybody else for Yordan Alvarez. And you look at today's lineup and you go like, okay, well, we'll have him play instead of like Andujar, or we'll have him play instead of Ramon Laureano, and Laureano is in a position of, he'll be a bench role guy. That doesn't solve the problem that the fact that Bogaerts is hitting 239 and Merrill's hitting 205 and Machado's hitting 171 and, Miguel Andujar's come back down to earth at 264. I mean, like, you still have, let's just say you're talking about the Stars, Frank. If the Stars continue to play like they're playing, which you can't trade away, for everybody that doesn't think they're going to turn it around, if you add Yordan Alvarez and everybody else stays the same this season, which I don't think will be the case either in terms of their overall production, you still have 3 names in your lineup that are hitting poorly, that are hitting at the bottom of Major League Baseball by qualified hitters, it's not going to drastically improve just by getting one guy on your team. I don't care how good Yordan Alvarez is, Frank.
No, it's not, because you still have those other guys that are dead weight in your lineup. That's just because you add someone who's hitting well doesn't change what the other guys do. They still have to do it themselves. You could add whoever you want. You can add whoever you want. You can add Juan Soto back. He's hitting 305. If you put Soto in this lineup, he's not going to, you'll see more hits, but you're not going to see Manny or Fernando or Xander automatically turn it around because you got a big bat in the lineup.
No. And that's the other thing too. It's not like, if Fernando and Manny and Merrill and Bogarts were all hitting up to their career years, right? If they're all hitting extremely well and you had, let's say Laureano's part of that equation. And again, like Camposano's been hitting, he's going to be the catcher. So these are guys in the lineup. And then, but you had like Andujar hitting like $115 and he was your DH. Yeah, of course you can improve the roster, but you're not going to find those bats that are going to improve your team because the guys that are hurting your team are the ones that you can't replace. That in lies the problem. That is why the Padres are looking at pitching at the deadline potentially and not like an extra bat, because right now, unless these guys fall down even more, Andujar, Sheets, and France, those are the three you would be replacing. It'd be a slight upgrade, but you still have to deal with the top of the guys in the order.
Augie has a good idea, and if that were the case, I would want a bunch of 500-pounders on my team. Padres need to start hitting their body weight.
I mean, at this point, probably, yeah. But that's why you don't add a bat like that at the trade deadline unless you were able to get a guy like, if you want to get a corner outfielder and let Ramon walk at the end of the year, sure. But even then, it's, again, you still have the glaring holes in the lineup. And that's why why are we going to invest a lot of money in trade capital in a Yordan Alvarez, which is not even going to guarantee to improve your roster or to improve your lineup overall if you got still the glaring holes because they're everyday starters, when we can improve the pitching staff. I get it. Bold prediction for tonight. Samad Taylor is not starting, so can't say anything about that. Bold prediction for the night. I think the Padres score runs on Christopher Sanchez.
Score and run on Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah. Is his streak still going? Or did he finally give up something?
I'm not sure.
Did the Dodgers play him or no? Has he started a game since the Padre game? He has not.
He wouldn't have. No.
Yeah.
So
Padres break the scoring streak. That's my bold prediction.
I would say with how well he saw him last week, I think Manny hits a homer today. With how well the only reason why I say this is because of how well he saw him last week.
Manny Machado will hit a home run against Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah, so I got Manny hitting a home run today.
I could see that. Padres will score the one run on the Manny Machado solo shot in the second inning, and they'll lose 2-1. Walker Buehler will have the struggling sixth inning again, and he'll in the sixth inning, Walker Buehler will give up a single. He'll walk a guy or hit a guy. There'll be 2 runners on, and then Wandy Peralta will come in and give up one of the runs. They'll give up 2 of the runs. They'll lose 2-1.
Everyone's concerned about the play at second base. I'm more concerned about Carson Bench holding his hamstring when he scored.
Nobody's watching that game right now except for you. We'll talk to you guys on Friday. Enjoy the day off tomorrow. Padres game will be at 10 in the morning. Gwen and Chris coming up next. Equator SoCal Padres pregame show following behind. Talk to you guys Friday.
Padres, Phillies.